Chapter 2010, Divine Estate Scheme. Chapter 2010, Divine Estate Scheme. Yemo just wanted to answer the yellow cloud-robed half-divine when the center of the lake shadowless exploded with a 1 km tall water pillar. However, it seemed quite eerie as the pillar was red. Okay, another formation flag opened. Someone clapped. Soon, a few figures jumped up from the bottom of the lake and landed by the river. Before anyone said anything, a few more people went into the lake. The water pillar gradually fell back. At this moment, a Tao Vindication Divine Emperor drew 8 over to the side, clearly wanting them to get prepared. Yemo finally realized what was going on. It seemed that Tao Essence Divine Estate was at the bottom of the lake, and people went down in turns to break the formation. When one formation flag was opened, the 8 people who were just appointed would go down to attack the next formation flag. The Divine Emperor is probably the commander of this operation. Yemo was shocked. There was such massive attacks at the bottom of the lake, but nothing could be seen from the lake surface. Only when the formation flag was broken would there be a water pillar. I'm asking you something. The half-divine saw Yemo stare at the lake and think, so his tone grew cold. Yemo turned around and saluted with his fists. I heard Tao friend is a body refinement cultivator. I just came from Mu Hua Hanging Valley. You're not going to say you found the 7-star extreme well, right? Beams shot out of the half-divine's eyes as though he was almost about to eat Yemo. Yemo said calmly, that's right. I found it and I got a big pond. The half-divine rejoiced. He had been to the Hanging Valley many times, but didn't find any marks of the well. Yet, someone said he found a large pond of it. How could he contain his joy? The well was invaluable to him. He would rob it even if he had to. Just when he was going to speak, he saw Yemo's face change, and he jumped into the lake without hesitation. The half-divine dazed, but he soon reacted. He followed Yemo into the river without hesitation. The rest of the immortals didn't expect someone would jump in the lake at this time. Those who didn't understand thought the formation was opened and jumped in too. More and more people jumped in. The Divine Emperor holding the formation saw that he was the only one here and gritted his teeth. A mere immortal emperor middle stage dares to mess up my plan. He brought over a Tao actualization Divine Emperor. Just when Yemo jumped in the lake, a Tao actualization Divine Emperor came over a few seconds later. The Tao actualization Divine Emperor also jumped in the lake. This Divine Emperor immediately guessed that the Tao actualization Divine Emperor was hunting Yemo. Then he jumped in the lake too. Of course, the Tao Essence Divine Estate's formation wasn't broken, but Yemo had to jump in. His spirit sense sensed the Divine Emperor, who was hunting him, head towards the lake, and his spirit sense locked onto him when it scanned the lake. In just a few seconds, the Divine Emperor would be here. He didn't think he could get away this time. The Tao actualization Divine Emperor's spirit sense was locked onto him. Yemo jumped into the lake. He couldn't think of anywhere else where he could escape the spirit sense. Yemo believed that no matter how strong the Divine Emperor's spirit sense was, it couldn't scan into the bottom of the lake. As soon as Yemo jumped in, the spirit sense lock-on was removed. Yemo could go into the Golden Page world now, but he didn't choose to. He still had an opportunity to run. Yemo was at his max speed and kept dashing around at the bottom of the lake. He knew that the Divine Emperor was in the lake now, but his spirit sense was limited in the lake, so he couldn't be sure where he was. Rumble. The water splashed apart, and Yemo immediately knew something was going on at the bottom of the lake. He carefully dived, but found a huge golden door was wide open. Yemo saw the Tao Essence Divine Estate's restriction was smashed open, and a few people went inside. The latter people also dashed in. Yemo's first impulse was to go in too, but he instantly changed his mind. He didn't go in, and instead threw down a surveillance formation disc like the rocks at the lake bed and left. He controlled the Golden Page world to mix into the mud at the lake. Hiding in the Golden Page world, Yemo was confused. Why was there no Tao Essence Chi in this Tao Essence Divine Estate? Yemo had never seen Tao Essence Chi, but there was very little ancient feeling to this estate. Soon, Yemo felt he was thinking too much. Perhaps that Tao Essence Divine Emperor didn't die for long. With the Tao Essence Divine Estate open, Even the half-divine outside the divine estate couldn't resist. The Tao Essence divine estate attracted him too much. To him, the well was very important, but it could be delayed. Going in the Tao Essence divine estate was the most important thing. Seeing that divine emperor go into the Tao Essence divine estate, Yimo breathed easy. The only pity was that he couldn't go in to get rich, and that half-divine went inside. He couldn't even deal with him. Just when Yimo wanted OT leave the golden page world and flee, another figure appeared in the surveillance formation disk. Yimo quickly stopped. He almost forgot about the divine emperor breaking the formation. How did this guy come so late? What shocked Yimo was that this divine emperor didn't go in and instead sneered before throwing down tens of formation flags. This divine emperor was clearly setting up a top trap and attack formation. Even he can't set up such formation. As the divine emperor kept throwing out formation flags, the golden door slowly shut. Such an evil guy. Yimo took in a cold breath clearly. He wanted to catch everyone who went in. At this moment, Yimo realized that this Tao Essence divine estate was just a bit. As for what it was used for, Yimo knew it was related to the divine emperor's cultivation method. It was already extremely eerie with the blood-red lake water, and now with the Tao Vindication divine emperor trapping people here with a Tao Essence divine estate. Yimo didn't want to stay here an extra minute. But the divine emperor kept throwing out formation flags and restrictions. Yimo didn't dare to leave at this moment. Yimo watched the divine emperor and waited for the opportunity to go. After 15 minutes, the divine emperor suddenly took out a red jade bottle and gulped at the bottle. Once he finished, he suddenly sensed something and frowned. The next moment, he landed next to Yimo's formation disc. He picked up that stone-like disc. Yimo was shocked. This old monster was so cunning. He didn't do anything, and yet the surveillance formation disc was found. With this, Yimo knew he couldn't keep hiding. It would only expose his golden page world. Without hesitation, Yimo dashed out of the golden page world and charged out. He just escaped from a Tao actualization divine emperor and was now wanted by a Tao molding divine emperor. Yimo was speechless. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2011. Insect Without Tao Vindication. Chapter 2011. Insect Without Tao Vindication. This divine emperor immediately woke up when Yimo escaped and sneered. He stepped out and punched without even releasing magic artifact. At this moment, Yimo was 1 km from the divine emperor, but this punch rattled the entire lake water. The lake water smashed onto Yimo as a whole body. Yimo couldn't even resist and spat a few mouthful of blood. His body felt like it was about to collapse. If he wasn't a mortal god body, his body would have been completely pulverized. Yimo was extremely shocked. He was originally planning to fight this divine emperor. After all, Tao molding divine emperor was just the beginning of Tao vindication. He thought that if he could fight with a half-divine, he might be able to fight a few rounds with Tao molding divine emperor. However, this Tao molding divine emperor's punch shattered Yimo's fantasy. This was at a 1 kilometer distance. If it was face-to-face, Yimo probably couldn't even move. He was on par with half-divine, but he was a far cry from Tao vindicators. Realizing this, Yimo dashed towards the lake surface. A top-level body refinement cultivator. The divine emperor thought that an immortal emperor middle stage would certainly die to this punch, but Yimo actually escaped and only just spat a few mouthfuls of blood. Yimo brought over a Tao actualization divine emperor and saw his secret. How could he let Yimo go? But just when he moved, the formation flags he set up hummed and seemed to about to explode. The divine emperor's face changed. Of course, he knew that the Tao actualization divine emperor was doing this. If the formation was broken, all his work would have been for nothing. He had to give up Yimo and go back to that door again and keep spraying down formation flags. He had to seal this formation completely shut. Yimo's spirit sense was watching the actions of this Tao molding divine emperor. Seeing him go back, Yimo's heart relaxed. He dashed out of the lake as quickly as he could. He couldn't care about time whirlpools and used a few instant transmissions and used mobility technique for an entire day before stopping. He escaped to a swamp, but Yemo wasn't happy at all. He finally realized the difference between Tao Vindicators and ordinary immortal emperors. This was the difference of great god art. Even if he reached immortal emperor peak stage, if he didn't know a big god art, he might not be a match for a Tao Vindication divine emperor. That divine emperor's attack carried space law. All the waters within his law range were moved by his law. He completely used the force of the world to pressure him. This definitely wasn't something that his god art could counter. Yemo felt he was quite lucky. He originally thought that even if he was caught up to by that Tao actualization divine emperor, he would use great transmission god art and fight with his life. But now, he realized that if he was really caught up, the Tao actualization divine emperor might bind the entire space. This wasn't the space binding of domain. Once space was bound, he wouldn't be able to use any god art. The insolent was fearless. If you didn't reach that level, you would never know the power of that level. Yemo didn't have the confidence had had before. In this world, you're an insect if you didn't vindicate Tao. If he wanted to survive in this world, he would have to quickly vindicate Tao, or he would die. Luckily, his golden page world was complete, and he could use that to vindicate Tao. But before this, he would have to understand how to vindicate Tao. Yemo immediately called out Small Ginseng and Shadowless, and said, "We're too weak right now. We have to find God Spirit Range and God Crystals to speed up cultivation. You two go out immediately and find God Crystals and God Spirit Range." Small Ginseng and Shadowless were very happy to do such things. They immediately went outside. A day later, Small Ginseng found a small God Crystals mine. Yemo dug inside for a whole day and only got a few thousand top-grade God Crystals and tens of thousands of middle-grade God Crystals. The second day, Small Ginseng seemed to have found something top-level and ran around like mad. Yemo and Shadowless knew of Small Ginseng's capabilities and immediately became excited. 2 hours later, Yemo looked at where Small Ginseng pointed speechlessly. He saw a God Spirit Range, a low-grade God Spirit Range, and it was surrounded by hills. Even a low-grade God Spirit Range was worth more than tens of extreme-grade immortal ranges. More importantly, it contained God Spirit Chi that was suitable for Yemo's cultivation now. Yemo was speechless because he saw more than 10 people surrounded. No matter how shameless he was, he couldn't go up and rob it. Plus, there were 2 half-divines there. If they joined up, he would be outmatched. Never mind, there's already people here. Let's go to another place. Yemo shook his head. Small Ginseng said desperately, "Boss, I'm not talking about this one. A few thousand steps ahead of this one, there's more God Spirit Range. I don't know how many exactly, but I have to get close to be sure." Shadowless pretended and said, "Yeah, boss, I feel there's God's Spirit Range over there too." He knew he was a far cry from Small Ginseng in terms of treasure hunting, but he said this to prevent boss from thinking he's useless and throw him into the golden page world again. Yemo saw the people ahead and said, "Why don't we wait till they dig it before we go? No, if they dig it, they can sense the other God Spirit Ranges there. They don't know yet because they haven't pulled the God Spirit Range out. If they don't pull it out, the natural spirit stealthing formation won't be broken." Small Ginseng said desperately, "In that case, let's hurry and go there." Yemo dashed over the sky. He was more desperate than Small Ginseng. When Yemo came here, people already saw him. They haven't decided on how to split it, so they haven't dug it yet. Seeing an immortal emperor middle stage dare to come here, seemingly wanting a share too, those immortal emperors looked at him with contempt. God Spirit Range was good, but one needed the power to get it. But soon, they realized Yemo didn't come for them and went alone to another mountain and released a shovel magic artifact and dug. He didn't stop at all. They were shocked because this shovel was an extreme-grade immortal artifact and had no offensive capabilities. It was purely designed for digging God Spirit Range. With each shovel, a small mountain-sized mud was swept away. "Ha ha, there's someone like him," one immortal emperor laughed. They were like watching a clown put on a show. They just dug out a low-grade God Spirit range, and now someone wanted to try their luck on the side. If there were that many God Spirit ranges, they wouldn't need to have discord in deciding how to split it. He seems to have an ice ginseng king next to him. That's something equivalent to a Dao fruit, or even better. Some people already saw small ginseng. Many people didn't say anything. They were planning to follow Yemo when he left. There really is God's spirit range, someone called out in shock. When Yemo dug for the third shovel, dense God spirit chi came out. It's not one, it's two, it's yin-yang duo range, another voice said. Yemo didn't understand yin-yang dual range before, but now he did. It was the best range for setting up sect formation. Putting the two together could automatically fill in God's spirit chi that was tens of times better than a single range. Its use for cultivation was much better than one God's spirit range too. He had dug out yin-yang dual range at the Luo Chu 18 discs and 36 heaven domains, but he didn't understand it at the time and wasted it. Yemo was very quick. Before these people could come up, he already sent the two God's spirit range into this golden page world. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2012. If you can't reason, then fight. Chapter 2012. If you can't reason, then fight. We chose the spot and haven't begun digging, but you took the yin-yang range away. Aren't you a bit too dominant? One immortal emperor middle stage who was signaled by a half-divine stopped Yemo, who was going to leave, and said. Yemo ignored the immortal emperor middle stage and put away small ginseng before saying to Shadowless, "Get ready to fight." Nieming Lai, have never seen an immortal emperor middle stage this cocky before. If it wasn't that my eyes are still open, I would have thought it was a divine emperor talking to me. Brother Liu, have you seen him before? A half-divine said from the distant. Unexpectedly, the Luo half-divine smiled. I've really seen it. Nieming Lai sneered, clearly thinking that the half-divine was saying this to compete God's spirit range with him. He said to that immortal emperor middle stage, kill him. In this world, power was everything. You could be weak, but you needed to know to respect the powerful. If you didn't, then people would kill you for no reason. In his view, Yemo should have long been dead. That immortal emperor middle stage was waiting for the half-divine to say this, and immediately released his am. But as soon as he did, he felt a powerful domain binding. The next moment, his magic artifact slowed, and even the light from it dimmed. Yemo hacked out with Zisu. God, art crevice. The small basin land couldn't cover the heaven-shattering purple beam. This purple beam was much more stronger than when Yemo used crevice before. The purple ray sliced across the entire basin and didn't care about the two half-divines and more than 10 immortal emperors standing in front of it. When this god art sliced down, all the people under it released their magic artifact. When they sensed the lethal force, even that half-divine's face changed. Splurge. That immortal emperor middle stage who wanted to stop Yemo was killed before he could release his god art. The purple ray disappeared. Zisu was still floating above, but the basin was very quiet. Yemo scanned the rest and said, if no one else wants to rob me, I'm going. Nieming's face changed. Even he couldn't kill that immortal emperor middle stage in one move before he could activate his god art. What made him so annoyed was that Yemo was only immortal emperor middle stage, but he used god art so recklessly. Everyone was under the attack. This person is too cocky. Brother Luo, what do you think? Nieming Lai would have attacked already if he was the only half-divine here. However, the other half-divine smiled and said, Brother Nie, although we came first, but now I've changed my mind. I only want half of this low-grade God Spirit range. You can have that God Spirit herb from before. Then Lu half-divine waved his hand, and that low-grade God Spirit range was brought up. He hacked with his magic artifact, and it was split evenly from the middle. Then he sliced one half of it into 5 pieces and said, you guys split it equally. Hearing this, the 5 took a piece without hesitation. Seeing this, Nieming's face changed and split the other half into 6, and he took the larger piece. Yemo didn't say anything. He knew things weren't over yet. He was ready for a big battle, but from the attitude of that Lu half-divine, Yemo didn't feel he wanted to fight him. After they split the god spirit range, they found there was a broken natural stealth formation. So that's it. Lai finally understood why Yemo was going to dig out the two god spirit ranges immediately. The Lu half-divine's face was bad. He realized this too. Although Yemo didn't dig the god spirit range they found, it was pretty much robbing their thing. If we dig out the first god spirit range, the yin-yang dual range would be exposed. You dug it before us. If this isn't robbing, what is? Lai released his magic artifact and stopped in front of Yemo. The other five stopped in front of Yemo too. The Lu half-divine didn't leave and subtly sealed off Yemo's exit path. Clearly, he was unhappy with what Yemo did. When I dug the two god spirit ranges, did you know about it or not? Yemo asked. Lai didn't want to fall into Yemo's word traps. I clearly knew there were two low-grade god spirit ranges there. Lai sneered. What he didn't expect was that as soon as he said this, Yemo punched over. He thought Lai was going to reason and he was going to explain, but since this guy was this shameless, what's the point in talking? As Yemo released Shatter Sky, he smashed out 5 lightning spear destruction. While pressing over with his immortal Emperor domain, Yemo had decided to kill Lai first, so he used Spirit Sense God Art Crevice as well. Yemo used this move before and almost killed Feng Kong Grand Emperor. Feng Kong Grand Emperor's power at the time was no weaker than this half-divine. In Yemo's eyes, if Feng Kong Grand Emperor's immortal essence was completely converted to God essence, this Lai would be no match at all. The Void Fist Force immediately swept over Lethal Force. Lai, who was amongst this terrifying lethal force, was very shocked. Facing against this terrifying space lethal force punch, he was like a small ship in raging ocean waters. Before he could think, he released his magic artifact, 3 God Flame Sand. It instantly formed 3 Heaven Sand rivers, black, white, and red. They were separated at the beginning, but as time went on, they were completely mixed, forming a whirlpool with soul-shocking flame. Rumble. Yemo's Shatter Sky Fist Force was swept in and disappeared in a few seconds. Yemo was shocked too. This was his first time seeing such terrifying magic artifact. When the two fought, no one came to gang up on him. Only Yemo knew it was because his domain's murderous chi was too ferocious and the others weren't that close with Lai, so they wanted to conserve strength. No one wanted to be killed like that immortal Emperor middle stage. Lai was more shocked. Usually, when his sands devoured a god art, it would activated the flame in the middle of the sand. At this moment, if he activated the flame with full power, he would easily be able to kill his opponent. But today, his sands didn't ignite the middle flame. This meant that he would need to use his own god essence to light it up. That was very god essence consuming. He was also annoyed that no one else attacked Yemo. He couldn't care about that much, and just when he was going to use his god essence to activate the flame, he felt a 10 kilometers long purple sword ray appear in his sea of consciousness suddenly. It appeared from the edge of the heavens and was about to slice his sea of consciousness in half. He was all too familiar with this sword ray. Now that it appeared in his sea of consciousness, he immediately realized it was a top spirit sense god art. Lai couldn't care about activating his sand flames. He stacked up spirit sense walls wanting to seal this terrifying purple sword ray. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A, and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2013, He Doesn't Dare. Chapter 2013, He Doesn't Dare Crack. That extremely terrifying tearing sound exploded in Lai's sea of consciousness. His face went pale as a paper. In his sea of consciousness, the purple sword ray easily broke his spirit sense wall and smashed into his sea of consciousness. Lai knew he was over. Other people couldn't hear the terrifying sound, but Lai knew how unbearable it was. There was a huge, long crevice in his sea of consciousness, and his spirit sense withered rapidly. He could no longer control his magic artifact and god art. The three-color sand whirlpool slowed down and couldn't even defend, much less attack. Rumble. A few more lightning sounds came. 300-meter-long lightning spear suddenly arrived. Nieming Lai knew he should use the three-color sand to stop it, but he couldn't control it. In just 1 second, the 5 lightning spear destruction drowned Nieming Lai. When the lightning disappeared and people could see clearly, Nieming Lie's burnt corpse remained on the ground. His storage ring and three-color sand were already taken by Yi Mo. Those immortal emperors who surrounded Yi Mo quickly retreated in shock. The other half-divine was extremely shocked too. He could feel that Yi Mo wasn't ordinary. That's why he didn't agree to join up with Nieming Lai. Now that Yi Mo killed Nieming Lai in such a short time, he was truly shocked. He knew Nieming Lie's means clearly, especially that three-colored magic artifact. He didn't have the absolute confidence to beat Nieming Lai, but this immortal emperor middle stage killed Nieming Lai easily. His power was definitely much stronger than him. Nieming Lie's face was suddenly pale, and his magic artifact dimmed. Clearly, he was ambushed by Spirit Sense Cultivation Method. Spirit Sense Cultivation Method wasn't rare in the God Necropolis domain, but to use it to ambush a half-divine meant it was definitely a top Spirit Sense Cultivation Method. He didn't believe Nieming Lai was underestimating the enemy, so the only possibility was that the Spirit Sense Cultivation Method was too strong and this immortal Emperor middle stage's Spirit Sense was too powerful. Yi Mo ate a few dual spirit pills. The level wasn't high, but it was very helpful in recovering Spirit Sense. It was a huge toll on his Spirit Sense to ambush a half-divine. If the other 5 attacked him together, or that other half-divine attacked too, Yi Mo wasn't going to keep fighting. But Yi Mo calculated that when he killed Nieming Lai so quickly, the other people wouldn't dare to come up. He guessed right, those immortal emperors not only didn't dare to gang up on him, but retreated instead. The other half-divine didn't seem to want to fight at all. Dao friend, you're strong. I'm Starfall Castle, Lu Guanyu. What's your name? The half-divine saluted with his fists. Yi Mo said plainly, I'm just passing by. If Brother Lu doesn't have any other business, then farewell now. Lu Guanyu didn't expect that Yi Mo didn't want to connect with him at all. He felt a bit awkward, but soon a dashing light came. Seeing this, Yi Mo stopped wanting to leave. He knew this dashing light. It was Hung God Corner young mistress. She was covered in blood right now, and no longer had her pride. There was only horror in her eyes. Yi Mo's Spirit Sense immediately saw someone hunting her. He also knew the person hunting her. It was a half-divine who escaped from him, and his magic artifact was the heaven-shocking lamp. It gave him a strong impression, as it could buff domain. The young mistress was very tattered. Seeing a few people here, she immediately charged over and called out, I'm Hung God Corner Hung Wan Man, Dao friends. She saw someone familiar and immediately landed next to Yi Mo. Yi Mo, please help me on Renan's account. The Hung God Corner will thank you greatly. She was so desperate that she didn't even ask how Yi Mo got in here. Yi Mo's power was nothing to her, but she needed to ask him for help. She knew that if she kept fleeing, she would truly die. Yi Mo sneered. Her words were like shit to him. If it wasn't for Renan, he would have attacked her already. But Yi Mo didn't look attack. He didn't care if she looked down on him, because they would be people of 2 worlds. He hasn't left yet, because she has something he wants. He knew from Renan that she had at least 2 lightning sound ages fruits. He really needed it now, so he immediately said, these are all my friends here. If you give me a lightning sound ages fruit, I promise you'll be fine. How do you know I have it? The young mistress looked at Yi Mo in horror, but she calmed down a bit as she saw the half-divine didn't come over to Yi Mo. She had the feeling that the half-divine wasn't looking at her, but at Yi Mo, you don't need to worry about that. You just need to give me 1, and you'll be safe. Otherwise, even if I don't attack you, everyone here has heard it and you won't get away. Yi Mo said casually. Young mistress's face changed. She looked around at everyone and saw they were all looking at her. Now that it was exposed, she was certain if she left here, it wouldn't just be a half-divine hunting her. This basin was silent, but young mistress could tell no one came over. She subconsciously looked at the burnt body on the ground and actually believed these people were all Yi Mo's friends. Otherwise, why did no one attack her? At this moment, One immortal Emperor Tertiary stage suddenly saluted with his fists, "Everyone, I'll be leaving first." Clearly he didn't want to mess with Yemo nor wait at this troublesome place. But just when he said this, Yemo said, "It's no rush. I'm discussing business with someone. Go after I'm done with this. Perhaps I might have some business to discuss with you." The immortal Emperor Tertiary stage's face changed. How could it be good that Yemo was discussing business with him? But he didn't move his foot at all. He had seen Yemo's power. If Yemo attacked him, how could he get away? Young mistress, who was very dubious, saw that with one word from Yemo, an immortal Emperor Tertiary stage didn't dare to leave. She was more certain of Yemo's words. Regardless if these were Yemo's friends, they were scared of him. She didn't hesitate and took out a lightning sound ages fruit jade box. "This is one. It's yours." Yemo felt the powerful time wave in the box and took it while saying, "Let me check its authenticity." The young mistress was furious. She felt Yemo was targeting her with this. Yemo opened the box, and indeed the flow of time came from the Tao fruit. There was a calling for him to explore. Yemo immediately closed the jade box and took in a long breath while putting the jade box away. He knew this was the real lightning sound ages fruit for sure. At this moment, Yemo saluted with his fists to everyone. "I've just made a deal with this person. Tao friends, please give me some face and let this hung god corner young mistress leave 5 minutes early. After that, I won't care about anything else. Do you have any opinions?" No one replied, but no one left. Yemo turned around to the extremely shocked young mistress. "You have 5 minutes. That's enough, right?" Young mistress suppressed her shock and immediately said, "That's completely enough. I'm worried about the person who came hunting for me." Then she looked at that half-divine, clearly fearful of his god art. Yemo sneered, "He doesn't dare to. I'll let him go before. If he dares to attack, I will chase him through the entire Mu Hua God Mountains if need be to kill him." The Lu half-divine was even more shocked. He knew who this half-divine hunting the young mistress was. Yet, even he lost to this immortal emperor middle stage. 5 minutes was nothing to him, and he was willing to give Yemo some face. He didn't need to fight Yemo for this 5 minutes. However, the half-divine who chased over's face was green. There was killing chi circulating his body. It was as though he was about to explode at any time. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Although the half-divine was threatened by Yemo and wanted to immediately kill him, he thought of Yemo's powerful attacks and stopped his impulse. Although the half-divine was threatened by Yemo and wanted to immediately kill him, he thought of Yemo's powerful attacks and stopped his impulse. Soon, he thought of something else and showed some coldness in his eyes. His expression calmed down, and he listened to Yemo, staying where he was. Seeing that the half-divine with a green face and not dare to hunt her, she rejoiced and disappeared in a dashing light. Seeing her leave, Yemo saluted with his fists and said, "Thank you for helping Tao friends. Now that there's 5 minutes left, let's do some business." Hearing this, no one answered. Yemo just did some business with the young mistress, and a lightning sound ages fruit was gone like that. Who else dared to do business with Yemo? Did they think they had too much good things on them? Yemo didn't mind seeing this. He took out a stone table and placed a big jade bowl on the table. Then, he poured down at the jade bowl with the jade bottle. Everyone was confused with what Yemo was doing. They all stared at the jade bowl, wanting to see what Yemo was pouring out. Its 7-star extreme well. People immediately recognized and stared at it with their eyes wide open. Was this something that could be taken out so easily? This was a treasure that could compare with Tao fruits. If it wasn't that Yemo's power was too absurd, there would be people going up and robbing it. Yemo didn't mind and said, "That's right, this is 7-star extreme well. I'm using it to exchange for fake chaos spirit herbs or some divine Tao spirit items." God spirit herbs were fake chaos spirit herbs. It didn't have level difference, but different God spirit herb had huge difference in price. Yemo wanted to exchange for these God spirit herbs to get ready to break through to divine Pill Emperor. Those who could concoct God level and above pills were divine pill emperors. Whether you concocted pills for Tao molding divine emperor or primordial essence divine emperor, they were all called divine pill emperor. Since the ancient times, it was extremely rare for people to reach pill divine, as it not only required pill concoction skills but also cultivation level. You even had to have God flame, or you couldn't become divine pill emperor. You could concoct God pills with immortal flames, or even nirvana flames, but that was the lowest level God pill. It didn't even have God runes, much less Tao runes or world law. If it involved Tao fruit or top-level God spirit herb, then God flame was required. In order to concoct God pill, you must fuse inside your understanding of world law and preserve the world law of the Tao fruits. You couldn't do this if you didn't have high enough cultivation level. Although everyone who could concoct God pills were called divine pill emperors, but in order to divide them, there was names respective to the cultivation level. Those who could concoct Tao molding God pills were called Tao molding divine pill emperor. Those who could concoct Tao actualization God pills were called Tao actualization divine pill emperor. In fact, after immortals vindicate Tao, they rarely use pills, as the cultivation after Tao vindication is determined by your understanding of world laws. Fusing these understandings into your great God are required, not just pills. Most importantly, there were pretty much no divine pill emperors after Tao essence. Therefore, people had to rely on themselves to learn world laws, and because of that, Tao fruits and chaos spirit items are so precious. Even if Tao fruits and chaos spirit items are consumed directly, their effects are amazing. Yimo didn't take out the well water to be cocky. He had his plans. He had the yin-yang dual range and the ages fruit. He was planning to go to a place for solitary cultivation. He wasn't going to wait till the mountain closed and then go out with everyone. If he dared to go out, it would be suicide. Yimo asked Nyo Runin about the Mu Hua God Mountain. If the place closed, you had to go out, or the time whirlpools would ravage everywhere. Yimo didn't want to go out, but he had his own way. His Golden Page world's 5 elements were complete. If he stayed in here, even if he couldn't go anywhere else, he could stay inside the Golden Page world and cultivate. Yimo suspected that the Tao Vindication Divine Emperor at the Chungzeng Lake had been cultivating in the mountain. With this precedent, what would Yimo be afraid of? Seeing the well, the eyes of that Lu half-divine lit up. He immediately took out more than 10 types of God Spirit herb to Yimo and said, Tao friend, have a look at how much these God Spirit herb can get. Yimo saw that the God Spirit herbs were very ordinary. They were hard to find in the immortal realm, but not so extraordinary in the God Necropolis domain. So he said, you can get 1 bottle. I'll give you the bottle. You put it in yourself. Then, Yimo waved out a jade bottle. Seeing this, the Lu half-divine rejoiced, feeling that this trip was worth it. He was only expecting half as much. With this, the other immortal emperors took out their God Spirit herbs to trade with Yimo. They wouldn't take out their precious ones. It was just ordinary ones, but Yimo didn't reject them at all. 5 minutes later, the bowl of well water was long gone. Only that half-divine with the heaven-shocking lamp didn't come, but he didn't leave either. His eyes were very calm, as though the differences between them were settled. Yimo put away everything and said, thank you, everyone. The business will end here today. It was a pleasant deal. Goodbye. Then, turned and left. Everyone said goodbye to Yimo. After Yimo left, the half-divine followed the direction Yimo left. Just after 10 seconds, Yimo stopped and looked coldly at the half-divine and said, do you want to fight with me again? I promise you won't get away this time. Yimo had his concerns. He used too much spirit sense before, and although he didn't fear fighting this half-divine, it was probably hard to keep him here. I'm no match for you. It's pointless to keep fighting. The half-divine said calmly. Then what did you chase me up for? Yimo asked. The half-divine took out a gust of gray lines and said, because of this, if you want it, we can collaborate. Yimo scanned the line, and his eyes narrowed quickly. This line gave him the same feel as the ages fruit. However, this line carried the murderous chi of the ages. This was definitely a top-level treasure. What is this? Yimo asked calmly. However, this half-divine just threw it to Yemo and said, "Have a look. If you like it, we can discuss the collaboration." Yemo grabbed the gray line and felt the impure time chi. He blurted out, "This is primordial abstruse string?" The half-divine laughed. "You're right, it's only a bit, but if you're willing to collaborate, we can get tens or even hundreds of times more." Yemo didn't think this half-divine would be good enough to collaborate with him, but he didn't want to give this line back, so he said, "Sure. How much for this string?" "This string is nothing. If we collaborate, there's large sums of them waiting for us to collect." The half-divine persisted. Yemo smiled. "I have to get this deal done before we collaborate. Name your price." "Okay. You can give me any bowl of 7-star extreme well water. The main part is the discussion on how we share things." The half-divine spoke as though he didn't care about the well at all. "You took out a bowl only 1/10 of the one before and gave it to him, done deal. And I gave you a jade bowl for free. Since this guy wanted to act cool, he'll let him have it. If he had smaller bowls, he would take it out. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 2015, Improve Power. Chapter 2015, Improve Power to Yemo. He would deal without hesitation even if he took out a few of the first big bowls. Getting this ball of primordial abstruse silk was a big earn for him. He wouldn't hesitate at all. "Okay." This half-divine put a few restrictions on the jade bowl while the corner of his lips spasmed. "Okay. Let's talk about our collaboration." He meant a bowl that was as big as before, but he didn't expect Yemo to give such a small bowl. However, he said nothing. With how greedy Yemo was, he would fall into traps eventually. "Tell me, I'm listening," Yemo said casually. "The place I'm talking about is Shan Yun Cliff. It's 10,000 km from Shan Yun Cliff. I got my string there. If you're willing to collaborate, we can go there together." The half-divine didn't seem to be worried. Yemo couldn't see any signs of lying from the half-divine's eyes, but he still asked, "Since there's such a good place, why would you invite me over?" The half-divine said plainly, "Although I want to kill you, but I know only you have the right to get the strings with me. If it's someone weaker, he would be no match for that person." "You're saying there's already someone there?" Yemo asked with a scorn. The half-divine said, "It's because I can't deal with him alone that I left helplessly. Don't worry. Although that person isn't weak, he doesn't know where the exact location of the primordial abstruse strings are. I've seen your heaven-shocking lamp. Whose god art could be more powerful than that? You wouldn't be lying to me, right?" Yemo's tone went cold. He wanted the primordial abstruse strings, but his spirit sense power hasn't recovered yet. He didn't trust this half-divine at all. "It's because that person knows a great god art, so what you're saying, he knows great god art?" Yemo interrupted. "Yes, it's because of that I want to find a powerful help." Yemo sneered. "You can go find one then." Then Yemo ignored this person and left in a dashing light. If that half-divine still chases him, he would kill him without hesitation, even if it meant him using his spirit sense again. If it was before, Yemo might really impulsively go fight an immortal who knows great god art, but after seeing the Tao Vindication Divine Emperor's god art, he completely realized that no matter how invincible he was amongst peers, he would be no match for Tao Vindication Divine Emperor. Those who knew great god art was Divine Emperor for sure. This half-divine wanted to trick him over so he could kill him using someone else. Even if that person was not Divine Emperor, Yemo wasn't going to fight him if the new god art. He knew that before he reached Tao Vindication, he definitely wouldn't be able to beat those powerful beings with great god art. That's why Yemo left without explanation. The half-divine's face went green. BTU, he didn't dare to keep chasing Yemo. If he dared to, then Yemo would kill him. He didn't expect Yemo to have fought someone with great god art. If he knew, he might try another way. Usually, no matter how powerful the immortal emperor, if he fought with a being with god art, he would die. How could Yemo live freely? Such a cunning guy. "When I reach Tao Vindication, the first I will kill is you," the half-divine said. A few days later, Yemo found this extremely far barren lands and went underground and into the Golden Page world. After coming in, Yemo found in shock that his world had completely changed. The world was almost changing every moment. He stood in the air and felt that once his cultivation level reached a certain level, he could control the weather in this world. Yemo looked at the chaos tree. It withered quite a lot due to saving him before, but now it had completely grown and was greener than before. Yemo could still feel its intimacy and calling to him. Yemo thought of what Small Ginseng said. If his world was completed, the chaos tree could recognize him as master. But Yemo didn't do this immediately. He wanted to do this after he vindicated Tao. Chaos tree was a spirit item and even had its own thinking. Yemo had the feeling that when he vindicated Tao, the chaos tree and golden page world could all help him. Everything was going as Yemo pleased. He put down the rest of the things and started to organize the storage rings. What made Yemo rejoiced was that in these storage rings, he found nearly 200k top-grade God crystals and half a low-grade God spirit range. Other than this, he found tens of God spirit herb and even 2 Tao fruits. Regardless if it was law Tao fruit or not, it was still extremely valuable. Yemo was Forgery Grandmaster, so he didn't care about magic artifact, but even so, he still found a low-grade Flying God artifact. It was even faster than the space-time boat. Yemo held a fist-sized rock. It was completely blue and had strong spiritual power. There's a purple way stone. Yemo rejoiced. This stone was almost as valuable to him as Tao fruit. It said that only purple way stars would have this stone. It's a top-level God artifact forgery material. He didn't expect a half-divine to have this. His Zisu desperately needed an upgrade, and getting the purple way stone and the primordial abstruse strings was perfect. With these 2 materials, Yemo could definitely keep upgrading his Zisu. He was a top forgery grandmaster, and he wasn't worried about flame. His blue like morning sky was already a top immortal flame. He just needed astral flame arrow to upgrade it, and he happened to have it but just haven't used it yet. He put away these things and started to set up the yin-yang dual range and the time formation disc. He cultivated to Immortal Emperor peak stage. He would large amounts of God crystals and God spirit chi. As for Tao fruits, Yemo didn't use it now. He didn't even take it out to look again. He knew now that if he used them now, it would be a waste. At the bottom of the Chengzheng Lake, the Tao Molding Divine Emperor eventually didn't trap the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. After his Golden Gate was attacked a few times, that Tao Actualization Divine Emperor smashed it open with magic artifact. Those tens of immortal emperors tricked and came out with the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. Seeing this, the Tao Molding Divine Emperor immediately ran off. However, what he didn't expect was that this Tao Actualization Divine Emperor didn't chase after him immediately, and instead kept looking for Yemo. Clearly, he knew from other immortal emperors that Yemo got more good things. Even that yellow cloud robe half-divine was looking for Yemo. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2016, Difficult Decision. Chapter 2016, Difficult Decision. Time flew by. Yemo had been in the Mu Hua God Mountain for a few decades, and that Tao Actualization Divine Emperor, who waited outside, left that desert. But before he left, he still set up all sorts of formations and restrictions. If Yemo came out and touched these formations and restriction, he would know immediately. He didn't believe that Immortal Emperor Middle Stage would die. He was certain that Yemo didn't die. The blue bead Yemo took from the purple-robed man was beyond truth spirit world. Such thing might really survive the Mu Hua God Mountain. In a place outside the immortal realm 33 heaven domains, there was an extended mountain range. The nearby rivers surrounded this mountain range, and extremely dense immortal spirit well surrounded the area. Immortal birds and immortal spirit beasts ran around. If one didn't come here personally, they would definitely not know there was such a beautiful place outside the 33 heaven domains. This place was the small heaven domain. On the main peak of the mountain range, there was an extremely ancient yet exquisite palace doors opening. 2 women came here with dashing light. "Come in," a benign voice sounded. Sect members Luo Bue and Mu Xiaoyan greet Master. The two women came in and bowed down. There was a man sitting at the top of the palace whose age couldn't be seen. He seemed really old in one moment and really young in another moment. He nodded and said, "Stand on the side." Luo Bue and Mu Xiaoyan carefully stood on the side, and this man said, "I've been out once. There was a battle at the top of Snow Volcano. The top is heavily damaged. It's probably very hard for you to rebuild the Gemini sect." The two listened intently. Seeing this, the man nodded and continued, "I went out of solitary cultivation and heard about something. There's a tunnel to the god Necropolis domain from the immortal realm. This is a realm formation door. However, you must be at least immortal emperor to enter. Bue, your cultivation speed recovered quickly and you're already immortal emperor primary stage. Xiaoyan is an unbelievable prodigy. You've reached abstruse immortal in less than 100 years. Master, what is the god Necropolis domain?" Luo Biu asked in shock. The man sighed, "The sacred grounds for Tao Vindication. I heard it's extremely broken down, but even so, Tao Vindication is common there. One can not only reach Tao Vindication, but also go beyond that. You can surpass Tao Molding Divine Emperor, and even reach Tao Essence or higher. There's no Tao Vindicator who doesn't want to go to God Necropolis domain. I've seen Divine Emperor from the god Necropolis domain come. He didn't reach Tao Essence, but the immortal realm is broken due to him. His great god art still scares me when I think about it. Master, are you going to the god Necropolis domain?" Luo Biua asked in confusion. She felt this place was very good. She wanted to rebuild the Gemini sect, not go to some god Necropolis domain. The man said, "Yes, you're already immortal emperor power. There's no pressure going to god Necropolis domain. As for Xiaoyan, I can barely bring her in with my DMBD. Her talent is extremely absurd. If she can cultivate in the god Necropolis domain, she can probably surpass me in the future. Master, disciple don't want to go to the god Necropolis domain." Mu Xiaoyan quickly said. "Why? You have more future and potential there. I've seen the void formation door. Its formation means are extremely high. Even so, it won't last very long. Once the door breaks, the god Necropolis domain people can come into immortal realm. Everyone in the immortal realm will be fish on chopping board. Entering the god Necropolis domain is for self-protection." The man said, "My cultivation motivation has been to find my husband. Now I've come to the immortal realm. It's even further than the magical continent. If I go to the god Necropolis domain, I wouldn't know when I would be able to see my husband again." Mu Xiaoyan quickly said. The man frowned upon hearing this. "Even a Tao Vindication Divine Emperor like me can't break into the cultivation realm easily, much less enter a mortal realm. I went out once just for your matter. There's an ancient realm traversing formation in the immortal realm. If you find that formation and then use them runes, you can go to the cultivation realm." "Master," Mu Xiaoyan called out in excitement. If there really was that formation, she could go back to the magic continent and see Yimo again. According to Martial Sister Bue, Yimo might be Foundation Establishment State. If she kept wasting time and Yimo couldn't reach Golden Core State, she wouldn't be able to see her husband again. If she could see Yimo, she wouldn't care about some cultivation or Tao Vindication. The man sighed, "But after I've been to that place, the formation is already broken due to use. At least 3 bunch of people used it. Even with my capabilities, I can't repair it. Despite having some top-level realm traversing runes, it's pointless if we don't have the formation." Seeing Mu Xiaoyun's pitiful look, the man could only say, "Xiaoyun, other than that person, you're the most talented person I've seen. With your talent, if you can reach Tao Vindication quickly and reach Tao Actualization, you can probably tear the realm barrier of the immortal realm and return to the cultivation realm. So it's not hard for you to go to the god Necropolis domain, and it's not bad either. Your cultivation method has a very big origin, even I can't see through it. That will benefit you even more. Master, after going in the god Necropolis domain, can I come back to the immortal realm?" Mu Xiaoyan felt more sad. No matter how much she trusted Yimo, in a spirit-chi arid place like the magical continents, Yimo wouldn't be able to reach Golden Core State. She didn't believe Yemo could find the place she went. Even if Yemo found that place and entered the cultivation realm, it was the law of the jungle everywhere. Would Yemo be lucky to get protected by a sect? She hoped Yemo reached Golden Core State and found a place to hide, so she can go find him after she reached Tao actualization. Hearing this, the man said slowly, "No. If one can easily return to the immortal realm from the god Necropolis domain, I believe the immortal realm would have long been taken over." "Master, I don't want to go," Mu Xiaoyan said in a low voice. She had her plans. If she stayed in the immortal realm, even if she couldn't go back to the magical continent one day, Yemo might be able to ascend to the immortal realm. Then she would be able to see Yemo again. If she went to the god Necropolis domain, then there was almost no chance to see Yemo. The man clearly knew what Mu Xiaoyan thought and said calmly, "I can understand what you think. I can clearly tell you that the formation door will only last a few hundred years. After that, the formation door will break and people from the god Necropolis domain can easily entree the immortal realm. If they do, it might mean the entire immortal realm would be forged into a truth spirit world." Luo Bus shivered. This would mean that everyone in the immortal realm would be insects and livestock. Mu Xiaoyan shivered. She clearly knew what this meant too. Seeing this, the man continued, "And I feel that an enemy of mine hasn't died. His soul has gathered, and in at most 100 years, he would rebirth. If this person returns to life, my small heaven domain would be crushed. This is why I have to go to the god Necropolis domain." "Who is this person, Master?" Luo Bue subconsciously asked. The man sighed. "He's called Truth Divine Emperor. Although I'm a Divine Emperor and have a title called Zhun Zhong Divine Emperor, I feel the things I did before wasn't careful at all. Since this has already happened, there's no point complaining." Despite this, the man was satisfied as he was the only one who survived the battle with Truth Divine Emperor entirely. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2017, Immortal Ascension Young Girl. Chapter 2017, Immortal Ascension Young Girl, do you come from Luo Yu continent? Outside an Immortal Ascension Palace in Moe Heaven, an abstruse immortal carefully asked a pretty blue-robed girl. She looked like she was 18 and was extremely pretty. It was like she was a true immortal and the rest of the immortals here were mortals. Luo Xian shook her head. "No, I've never heard of Luo Yu continent." She carefully scanned her spirit sense out and thought, was this the immortal realm? The immortal spirit chi here was indeed very dense. She fell off the dual stone cliff and went into a void teleportation formation and was teleported to a cultivation realm called Xinxiong. Unlike Mu Xiaoyan, she was teleported to an immortal estate ruin. It was left behind by someone called Lingbo Goddess. There were not only plenty of cultivation resource, but also a precise description of the cultivation realm. After she ascended to the immortal realm, she left behind that immortal estate. Luo Xian's cultivation knowledge came from Lingpo estate. She reached foundation establishment state in the estate before going out carefully. After going out, she realized how cruel the cultivation realm was. There were many times she almost fell into the hands of other people. She also realized what cultivation slave was. So she went back to the estate and cultivated. Due to the top-level resources left behind, and her talent was top-notch, she reached truth realization state peak stage in a few hundred years. After that, Luo Xian's spirit controlled the estate and roamed the Xinxiong continent. Her cultivation level was peak of the entire continent. No one would offend a truth realization state peak stage for no reason. She traveled the entire cultivation realm to find a way back to the magical continent. She finally realized that Yemo was a cultivator and why Yemo said to her that his dream would never be realized. At the same time, she realized the terrifying value of the 2 golden pages she gave Yemo. However, she didn't care about the golden pages. She wanted to go back and see Yemo and help him fulfill his ideal. Yemo helped her fulfill her wish. She knew that after all these years, her sect would be vastly different. If there was one person she knew she could see, it was Emo. After all, Emo was a cultivator. She really wanted to find Emo and see if the small jade bottle she left Emo was still there. But she had searched for a few decades and had no results. Her cultivation level reached peak and couldn't keep staying, so she was forced to ascend to the immortal realm. Hearing Luo Xian wasn't from the Luo Yu continent, the abstruse immortal moved iced in disappointment, but still said, "Our MOU immortal sect is taking in disciples. If you want to join, I can bring you there." "Thank you, Qin Bei. Wan Bei don't want to join a sect yet." Luo Xian rejected. The abstruse immortal nodded and said, "You've just ascended. I suggest you cultivate in the city and consider leaving after you convert your cultivation essence to immortal essence." Luo Xian thanked again. At the same time, in a small mosque in Huangzing Heaven, a woman who was sitting with her eyes closed opened her eyes and said in disbelief, "You got my heritage and came to the immortal realm? Let me see who this person is." She suddenly got up and seemed ethereal. She had this serene feeling to her, as though some Tao wave was emanating from her. She didn't need to use any music instrument, and there was Buddhist sound surrounding her, making her seem like the goddess of the immortal realm. She moved and disappeared from the mosque. "Goddess, I'm from Zishuang sect Mo-E Heaven. It's an immortal king sect. If you're willing to join us, I can test your immortal spirit root." Another man came up and saluted with his fists. Before Luo Xian could answer, she heard a cold voice, "She won't join your Zishuang sect, move aside." The man was going to get angry, but found it was an extremely beautiful goddess. There was a rainbow behind her back like she was some female Buddha. The sect members quickly ate his words and retreated with his hands together. Even the rest of the people moved aside. Luo Xian looked at this goddess, then made people want to worship her, and had this strange feeling. "Do you want to come with me?" she said calmly, but her voice seemed to lure Luo Xian into nodding. Seeing this, the goddess waved up a rainbow and disappeared with Luo Xian. After a while, Luo Xian reacted and bowed. "Qian Bei, Wan Bei just ascended to the immortal realm. Why did Qian Bei bring Wan Bei?" The goddess smiled. "Due to fate." "Fate?" Luo Xian stared at her in shock. "There is fate between us. When I was in the cultivation realm, I had a title called Ling Pe. People called me Ling Pe Goddess." Hearing this, Luo Xian immediately bowed. "Wan Bei greet Ling Pe Qian Bei. Wan Bei got Qian Bei's immortal estate, and that's why I was able to ascend to the immortal realm." Ling Pe smiled. "That is fate. Before I was powerful and left a few tunnels to the cultivation realm and a few mortal realms. Only you got my heritage. This is fate. Which realm did you come from?" "Wan Bei came from magical continent," Luo Xian quickly said. "It's that place?" Ling Pe repeated with a strange face, but instantly recovered and asked, "What's your name?" "Wan Bei Luo Xian." Luo Xian said. Ling Pe Goddess nodded. "Luo Xian, you cultivated the heritage I left behind in the cultivation realm. Do you want to be my disciple and keep cultivating with me?" Luo Xian hesitated briefly and said, "I'm willing." "Okay." Ling Pe Goddess nodded in satisfaction. "I have another title called Ling Pe Divine Emperor. You don't know now, but it's okay. You will eventually know." She looked into the distant void and said, "I should have long left here, but I always felt I lost something. Now that you came, that feeling disappeared. One could see there's indeed fate between us. There will be a huge turmoil in the immortal realm. I'm too weak and can't change things. The only path is to go to the source of the turmoil." Luo Xian didn't know what Divine Emperor was, and now that Ling Pe Goddess said her power was too weak, she thought her master was only an ordinary being in the immortal realm. So she asked Master, "Where is the only path?" "God Necropolis Domain." Ling Pe Divine Emperor answered seriously, "I really want those smart people in the immortal realm to head towards the God Necropolis Domain and offer their power in preserving the immortal realm. However, there are many like this. A few went to the God Necropolis Domain, but it's purely for themselves. No matter what, just because a few Grand Emperors went in, didn't mean that more people went in. There was no news of those who headed towards the God Necropolis Domain yet. No one would care about how many from the immortal realm went to the god Necropolis domain, nor did Yemo was in a crucial moment. His cultivation level was no longer Immortal Emperor middle stage. After the time formation disk ran for 100 years, almost 10,000 years had passed inside. Yemo's cultivation level was almost Immortal Emperor peak stage. Crack! The yin-yang dual range turned to dust. The god crystals he got were used up, but he was still only at Immortal Emperor tertiary stage. Yemo sighed. He had used plenty of 7-star extreme well water, but his body refinement cultivation was still stuck at Immortal God Body peak stage. Now that he used up all his God crystals and God spirit range, he was still that bit from Immortal Emperor peak stage. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2018, Instant or Eternity. Chapter 2018, Instant or Eternity. If there was something he got out of these years, he upgraded his blue like morning sky to God Flame and raised Zisu to half-God artifact. Zisu changed from an ugly look to a pretty murder weapon. It carried a slab of purple color, and when released, it seemed there were blue stars circulating it. Even if it wasn't released, there was a sliver of aged feeling. It wasn't that the materials Yemo had weren't good, but Yemo's forgery skills weren't good enough. The aged feeling was due to the primordial abstruse string. The stars circulating it was caused by the purple waystone. Time passed really quickly. Yemo sighed and put away the time formation disk, but didn't dare to come out of the Golden Page world. He expanded his spirit sense out of the Golden Page world, and it was immediately annihilated by the time whirlpools. They seemed to be everywhere. Yemo could imagine that if he wasn't in the Golden Page world and went out, he would be instantly torn to pieces or turned to bones. That's right. His power was much higher than Immortal Emperor middle stage, but was there any use? If he wasn't experienced in time law, he wouldn't be able to walk in here. Yemo concocted a pile of dual spirit pill and started to carefully sense the time law outside the Golden Page world. His spirit sense kept getting annihilated, but he kept sending his spirit sense out. If it was some ordinary person, he would have crippled already, or his sea of consciousness would have exploded, but although Yemo's face was pale, he didn't give up. He reached out his spirit sense again and again. Although Yemo didn't learn the time law, this method of cultivation made his spirit sense tougher. However, his spirit sense was receiving a huge toll. He ate again the dual spirit pills again and again. He was even ready to eat that lightning sound ages fruit. It was a waste to eat it now, but Yemo had no choice. Even if it was a waste, he would have to eat it. As long as he could learn a sliver of time law by eating it, he could improve his power. At this moment, he felt that he was about to capture that sliver of time chi, but he couldn't completely grasp it. It was like something was in his hands, but every time he tried to grab it, it would slip out. Yemo opened the jade box and grabbed that ages Dao fruit. He had decided to use it. Regardless if it worked or not, he would have to try. Time law was one of the hardest law to master. Yemo held the fruit in his hand, and there was this indescribable feeling of time emitting from the fruit. Yemo immediately felt that he stood in a river of time. Endless waters of time flew past him. He felt the house in Ninghai, the prosperity of Luoyu City. He felt Qingxue he carried on his back before. He felt that small house under the mountain and Luo Ing who embraced him. Time flew by like water. Like falling leaves that turned to rotten leaves on the ground before disappearing. Time flew by, and life seemed to be in the flick of a finger. This subtle law flowed into his essence, spirit, and consciousness from the age's fruit. He just obscurely felt the passing and flow of time. Perhaps countless years passed, perhaps it was just an instant. At this moment, Yemo felt everything around suddenly stop. The fruit brought out a lightning spark that went into his consciousness. Yemo suddenly woke up and subconsciously grabbed with his hands. That sliver of time, chi seemed to have been grabbed by his hand. The world seemed to have stopped in this instant in eternity by his hand. The four scenes were all in his will. Yemo suddenly had this sliver of enlightenment. He released Zisu, and a 30 kilometers purple sword ray split the space apart. There was a sliver of lightning around the sword ray, as though the thunder god was striking down. The purple ray landed, and Yemo suddenly took a step forward. The light breathed in the space seemed to have been paused. The entire space paused. But that purple ray still sliced across this silent world and smashed into the ground, creating a terrifying ravine. After everything passed, the light wind continued to blow forward, and everything returned to animation. Instant, eternity, eternity, instant. Yemo looked at the long ravine and murmured with a pale face. When he paused the space in that instant, everything was eternity. I understand. Yemo put away Zisu and murmured. His move could pause the surrounding time for 1 second. He could kill anything in this second. That second was instant, but the time in that instant was eternity. This was just a sliver of time law. His move was near great god art, but was far from great god art. He used this one move, and all his god essence was sucked dry. Such terrifying time law. This move will be called instant second. Perhaps one day, I can hack out a move truly worthy of being called eternity. Yemo murmured. He raised his hand, and that lightning sound age's fruit was long gone. He didn't eat it, it just disappeared in his hand. It's good indeed, Yemo said with a pity, and then ate a few pills. 15 minutes later, Yemo raised his hand again. That 30 kilometers long ravine was instantly repaired. So that person didn't use a great god art. It was just the difference in cultivation level. Yemo was at the border of creating a great god art and finally knew that Tao molding divine emperor's move wasn't great god art. True great god arts were god arts fused with law. That Tao molding divine emperor controlled the Chengzheng lake water, but he forcefully used his powerful essence qi and domain. It only had a sliver of space law inside. If it was a real great god art, the lake water could easily kill him. Yemo breathed easy. Although his instant second only went for a second, one could do many things in a second. His Zisu could completely use this second to kill someone, and his shatter space could tear the opponent apart. Yemo realized that time law was more terrifying than space law. Just when Yemo carefully extended his spirit sense outside the golden page world again, there was this cracking sound in his bones. At this moment, his god essence seemed more powerful, and his sea of consciousness was clearer as it expanded even more. At this moment, Yemo looked at his meridians and Dan Tian in disbelief. After learning this, his cultivation level reached peak stage. All sorts of Tao runes circulated in Yemo's will. Yemo knew he was a mortal emperor peak stage. Yemo could no longer suppress his joy. It was time to go out. Yemo soon calmed down and scanned his spirit sense outside the golden page world again. Now that he mastered a sliver of time law, he could go out. Even if he couldn't leave the mountain, he was going to leave the golden page world. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Yemo's spirit sense just appeared outside, and moments later, a time whirlpool swept by. Yemo felt his sea of consciousness twisting in pain, and soon, his spirit sense disappeared. Yemo's spirit sense just appeared outside, and moments later, a time whirlpool swept by. Yemo felt his sea of consciousness twisting in pain, and soon, his spirit sense disappeared. Yemo ate a few dual spirit pills, and his face was bad. Although he learned instant second, going out now was suicide. If he couldn't go in the mountain, it meant that if the mountain didn't open again, he would have to stay here forever. It wasn't easy for the mountain to reopen. From the news he got, it sometimes opened once every tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years. Sometimes it was just in 2 or 3 years. There was no rule to it. Yemo suddenly thought of the Tao molding divine emperor next to the lake. He wondered if that guy went out. Yemo was certain that Tao molding divine emperor had always been in the Mu Hua God Mountain and was cultivating there. That divine estate at the bottom of the lake probably helped him stay there. Thinking about this, Yemo immediately wanted to go over to the Chengzheng Lake and see. He couldn't go over, but he could control the Golden Page world to go over. He definitely wouldn't be able to beat that Tao-molding Divine Emperor despite him being Immortal Emperor peak stage and knowing instant second god art. He had a trump card against Divine Emperors, but if it couldn't kill the Divine Emperor, he would have to wait for death. But Yemo wasn't very worried. Even if he couldn't kill the Tao-molding Divine Emperor, he could run away. A few months later, Yemo came back to the Chengzheng Lake. His face was pale, and his sea of consciousness was heavily injured. It was very slow to control the Golden Page world to fly, and he had to keep scanning his spirit sense out. If it was some other immortal emperor, he probably wouldn't be able to come this far. Luckily, he knew a sliver of time law and had plenty of dual spirit pills. Next to the lake, Yemo started repairing his sea of consciousness. After an entire year, Yemo's sea of consciousness recovered. After all this, his spirit sense became sharper and more powerful. It was also more flexible. The lake was still the same, but there was a thin layer of mist. Yemo scanned his spirit sense out again. Yemo was soon shocked. He found that if he reached his spirit sense near 30 meters of the lake, there was no time whirlpool. Yemo suppressed his joy and continued to watch for a day before confirming it really was so. Yemo breathed easy and came out of the Golden Page world standing at the border of the lake. The blood-red lake water looked eerie and scary. At this moment, he seemed to see countless souls screaming. His spirit sense couldn't scan to the bottom, so Yemo flew out into the lake without hesitation. He needed to check that divine estate, so he would have to dive down. Yemo was very careful. He was scared that the Tao-molding Divine Emperor hadn't left. As soon as Yemo went into the water, he felt a powerful special pressure squeeze at him. There was this lethal force that wanted to shatter his soul squeeze in from the two sides. The invisible space had completely bound him, making him unable to escape. Yemo was carefully watching out at every moment. When the space lethal force squeezed over, he immediately attacked. Shatter Sky Punch smashed out. There was clearly a space law covering the lake. If he couldn't break it, he would have to wait and die. The Shatter Space also carried a sliver of space law. Yemo learned a sliver of space law when he was just an abstruse immortal. Although he didn't progress much from it, the Tao-molding Divine Emperor only learned a sliver too. The Shatter Sky Punch brought out the nearby blood lake water and formed 9 space fist forces and smashed on this invisible space barrier. Rumble! The space binding broke apart with the Shatter Sky Punch. An invisible crack appeared on the space barrier. There was only small cracking sounds. Yemo dashed out as soon as the clash happened. The space binding already cracked once, and with Yemo dashing like this, it disappeared like the nearby water bubbles. Without this space binding pressure, the lake water instantly squeezed out, forming a 1 km tall water pillar. Yemo used this blood water pill to dash out of the lake and land next to the lake. At this moment, a red axe hacked open where Yemo was before. After being hacked, the lake didn't seem to be a lake, but a huge watermelon that was sliced open from the middle. In a second, the water closed up again and a man dashed out of the lake. It was the Tao-molding Divine Emperor who attacked you again. It's you again. The Tao-molding Divine Emperor stared at Yemo and said word by word. You ruined my business before, and now you fell into my hands again. It seems you have quite some good things to be able to stay in Mu Hua God Mountain and break my space barrier. You not only have your own world, but also know a sliver of space law. Yemo glanced at the red axe and reached out his hand. Zisu suddenly appeared in his hand. Then he said slowly, I guess that there was something strange about this lake. Luckily I came today, otherwise, I don't know what time I would be locked up till. You probably cultivated in the mountain for many years. What a pity! The immortal Emperor essence blood that you needed for cultivation was lost due to the Tao actualization Divine Emperor I brought over. Ah! The Divine Emperor laughed. You think it's good? You were able to reach Immortal Emperor peak stage from Immortal Emperor middle stage in a mere 100 years. It seems you have more secrets than me. So what if you're Immortal Emperor peak stage? You're still an insect to me, Taba Feiyong. Do you think you can escape? You want to escape from me using the little sliver of space law, keep dreaming. Even though I didn't get a single immortal Emperor essence blood, you can make up for it. Suddenly, the red axe smashed down. A 30 kilometers long red axe figure sliced across the time whirlpool place outside the lake. The terrifying space pressure came. Yimo could feel he was in mud while fighting with Taba Feiyong. He didn't even move, and the space was bound by the axe. He felt like he couldn't dodge this and could only wait as he was hacked apart. Yimo didn't dare to waste time. He released Zisu and 5 lightning spear destruction at the same time. He couldn't escape casually. He couldn't get into the Golden Page world in time with the space pressure. Even if he got into the Golden Page world, how far could he go into the time whirlpool outside? Plus, Taba Feiyong had been living here for countless years. If he knew how to travel outside, he would be over. Yimo stacked his Immortal Emperor domain and Spirit Sense domain. But even so, Zisu Crevice still slowed down a lot. The Divine Emperor only knew a sliver of time law, but it was much more than him. The 5 lightning spear destruction was very clear. It wasn't as fast as before. You still want to struggle under my space? Just wait to be disembodied by my blood-refining axe and taste my 6 glory soul-shaking light. Taba Feiyong sneered and shot out this pale light. As soon as this light came out, Yimo felt his soul and essence spirit wanting to leave his body. This was definitely an extremely fierce magic artifact. Yimo didn't think and punched out. Shatter Space God Art. He had to break the space binding. Otherwise, how could he fight this battle? Rumble. The punch swept over the nearby space lethal force and tore through the space. Taba Feiyong's space instantly made cracking sounds. 5 lightning spear destruction also sped up and clashed with the 6 glory soul-shaking light. At the same time, the red axe also clashed with Zisu. Chapter 2020. Yimo's Lethal Blow. Chapter 2020. Yimo's Lethal Blow Rumble. The rays splashed out. Yimo's 5 lightning spear destruction turned into flash lightning and disappeared. Meanwhile, an eerie light seeped out of the 5 lightning spear destruction and smashed on Yimo. Even with his immortal god body peak stage body, Yimo couldn't take it. But after the light went into Yimo's body, it was already weak and was easily burned by blue like morning sky. Crack! The purple sword ray of Su smashed together with the red axe shadow, but created a materialized sound. Even though the space here was extremely stable, there were ripples. So powerful. Yimo was shocked and flew back. He forcefully controlled his body and didn't leave the safety range of the lake. No wonder you're so cocky. You have a few moves. Taba Feiyong didn't move, but he was more shocked than Yimo. He had seen quite some Immortal Emperor peak stage and even half-divines, but never an Immortal Emperor as powerful as Yimo. An ordinary Immortal Emperor peak stage would have long been killed, but Yimo was only at a slight lower hand. 6 glory soul-shaking light, soul-shaking extermination. The stronger Yimo was, the more Taba Feiyong wanted to kill him and take everything. Yimo knew this person was stronger than him. If he allowed the light to completely activate, it definitely wasn't good. It just shot out 1 light before, and his 5 lightning spear destruction couldn't stop it. If it was completely activated, it would be overwhelming. He didn't have the right to stall out the battle with this divine emperor. He had to finish the battle quick, and if he was outmatched, run immediately. Yimo calmed his essence chi and took out a golden bone arrow, and at the same time, a big golden bow appeared in his hand. This terrifying heaven chi rustled rolling in all the nearby space. The extreme lethal force of the golden bow of immortal extermination fused with the world and seemed to rip the space the next moment. Yimo's cultivation level was far stronger than Ji Zong, Immortal Emperor, and he refined to a much higher level of restriction. Golden bow of divine extermination. Taba Feiyong called out in horror. His body was shaking with terror. He only activated half of the 6 glory light, but he didn't dare to keep activating anymore. He didn't dare to move at all. He knew that if he was shot by the golden bone arrow of divine extermination, he would definitely die. He was shaking, half out of fear, but half out of excitement. The golden bow of divine extermination appeared. This meant that if he killed this small immortal emperor, it would be his. Once he found 9 bone arrows, he would dominate the entire god necropolis domain. Even if he didn't find the 9 arrows and just found 5 arrows, he wouldn't fear ordinary Tao actualization divine emperor anymore. But now, the killing intent of the golden bow of divine extermination was getting more and more intense. He didn't dare to move at all. All the lethal force of the space was drawn to the arrow, even the bleak killing intent of the lake. It formed this materialized killing intent around the golden bone arrow. Taba Feiyang was scared, but he didn't think he would die to it. He believed that even if Yi Mo got all 9 arrows, he wouldn't be able to completely spirit control it. The original 9 arrows of the golden bow of immortal extermination were invisible in the god necropolis domain, but many people knew that 4 of the arrows were lost. There were only 5 true arrows with the golden bow of immortal extermination. The owner of the golden bow of divine extermination found the top forgery grand master of the god necropolis domain to make 4 more arrows. However, these 4 arrows were far weaker than the original 5. It was because of this that Taba Feiyang believed he could dodge Yi Mo's golden bone arrows. If he did, then Yi Mo was his to play with. So it was golden bow of divine extermination, Yi Mo realized. Perhaps when he reached 72th level or higher restriction, the name of the bow would change again. Seeing Taba Feiyang's nervous and worried look, Yi Mo was very satisfied. He was threatened by these bow and arrows before, but now he could use it to threaten others. It seemed this bow was extremely famous in the god necropolis domain. If he killed this Taba Feiyang, no one would know he has the golden bow of divine extermination. Yi Mo's spirit sense was very powerful, and Sea of Consciousness was very sturdy. Even so, it was very difficult for him to open the bow. He had to constantly insert his lethal force in. He couldn't let the lethal force fall, or the opponent would grasp the opportunity. He had to preserve strength, as he knew the first arrow definitely wouldn't be able to kill Taba Feiyang. Compared to Yi Mo, Taba Feiyang found this more unbearable. He didn't know when Yi Mo would shoot the arrow nor how many arrows Yi Mo had. As the lethal force grew bigger, Taba Feiyang felt greater pressure. He knew he couldn't move first. When the lethal force gathered to a peak, Yi Mo knew he couldn't keep holding it. Otherwise, the lethal force would drop. There was another thud from outside the lake. Yi Mo shot the arrow without hesitation at the same time. The crisp sound came like phoenix chirping as the arrow tore open all space in front of it. The arrow's lethal force left no return. As the bow sounded, the bone arrow shot out. In that instant, Taba Feiyang's 6 glory light was completely activated. A horrid light veil shot out. At the same time, Taba Feiyang released the blood axe. He deeply knew how powerful the golden bow of divine extermination was. With the power of this immortal emperor, there wouldn't be just only one arrow. The golden arrow shot into that veil, and the veil melted extremely rapidly. Crack! The pale veil finally disappeared, but the killing intent of the bone arrow was completely wiped. Its force was still there, but it just didn't have the original lethal force. Taba Feiyang's face was calm. He quickly took back the 6 glory light. He knew Yi Mo didn't have just one arrow. How could Yi Mo let him take back the light? The sound of arrow release came again. 2 golden arrows shot in the left and right of Taba Feiyang. Their killing intent almost materialized. Even if Taba Feiyang wanted to dodge it, he couldn't. Taba Feiyang knew that the golden bone arrow couldn't be dodged easily. One arrow had possibility of being dodged, but if he tried to dodge 2 arrows, it was suicide. If he dodged 1 arrow, his force would weaken. The second arrow would lock on him and kill him. If the golden bow of divine extermination and arrow was so easily dodged, it wouldn't be feared so much. At the same time Yi Mo shot the second and third arrow, Taba Feiyang's blood axe was released and smashed at the golden bone arrow. Crack! The blood axe was completely broken by the bone arrow and turned to blood-colored pieces. However, with this the golden arrow paused a bit. Taba Feiyong couldn't block the third one. The terrifying killing intent completely enveloped him. A substitute wooden clone appeared next to his body suddenly and blocked the third arrow. This was his essence spirit substitution clone. It would use up a portion of his essence spirit, but it could save his life. The instant the essence spirit clone came out, it was completely smashed by the third arrow. The clone was instantly torn to pieces, but the third arrow was blocked by the essence spirit pieces, and the killing intent eased. Before Taba Feiyong could be happy, he saw the fourth golden arrow shoot at him. Before the sound of the bow rung, that extremely terrifying killing intent swept over. The space around Chengzheng Lake became dead. It seemed that almost all life force was taken away by this fourth bone arrow. That terrifying killing intent locked the entire space, leaving him nowhere to escape. The fourth arrow was the real lethal arrow. Taba Feiyong suddenly realized. Yimo knew the three arrows couldn't kill him, so he gathered all the lethal force on the fourth arrow. He was certain that Yimo only had 4 arrows. Even if he had a fifth, he wouldn't be able to shoot it. Yimo's extremely pale face showed that he had used all his power. If he survived this fourth arrow, Yimo would be defenseless. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2021, God Art Instant Second. Chapter 2021, God Art Instant Second. Taba Feiyong showed a cruel smile on his face. He was certain he could block this arrow. Even though he used all his cards and was heavily injured, if he blocked this arrow, he would get return that was multiple times. Other than the golden bow of divine extermination, this little immortal emperor must have plenty of good things. Otherwise, that Tao actualization divine emperor wouldn't leave him behind and hunt this immortal emperor instead. The nearby life force completely disappeared. The golden bone arrow dominated this space. Suddenly, layers of black mist appeared around Taba Feiyong. His hair instantly turned white and his body aged. A huge golden estate appeared. He was burning his life to defend against this arrow. He knew that even if this golden arrow hit his divine estate, it would be fine. No one knew how terrifying this divine estate was other than him. He had been in the Muhua God Mountain spirit controlling this estate for countless years. Even though he burned his life now, he could only barely move the estate. This was with him being on the Chengzheng Lake and having the Abyss metal card. Otherwise, even if he spirit-controlled for millions of years, he wouldn't be able to move the estate. To be specific, he can't mobilize the estate. The Abyss metal card mobilized it. This all happened in an instant. The bone arrow would definitely hit his estate, and maybe it could break the divine estate, but he would definitely be fine. Although Yimo's face was extremely pale, his body suddenly had this flow of time. He walked up and raised his hand, saying, "Instant second." That instant was eternity. When Yimo waved out instant second, eternity was set. The rivers of time swept, taking away countless pitiful scenes. These scenes flowed past Taba Feiyong's eyes. Everything paused at this moment, and so did Taba Feiyong. He saw the girl he grew up with leave him. He saw the tragedy he experienced when he first begun cultivation. He saw his parents and brothers. He saw everything in the past. Time sped away. Before Taba Feiyong could reflect himself in this river of time and think about what he had lost, the scene flowed again. Taba Feiyong suddenly woke up, but the golden bone arrow had already touched his body. Death and disintegration of life instantly perfused in his body. Time law pause, so terrifying. Taba Feiyong could only say these words as his body suddenly exploded. Rumble. The huge divine estate disappeared again. Yimo spat many mouthful of blood. The golden bow of divine extermination fell to the ground, and at that instant, his dark black hair turned snow white again. The entire lake fell silent, but moments later, small ginseng came out of the golden page world. They didn't wait for long before Yemo was awake. They said in post-terror, "This person is so strong. Boss, you're so strong. You're not even a divine emperor, but you killed a Tao Vindication divine emperor. No one would believe such a thing," Shadowless quickly said. Yemo ate a few pills and shook his head. "Without the golden bow of divine extermination, I wouldn't be able to kill him. If he didn't underestimate me and called out that golden estate earlier, I still wouldn't be able to kill him. At some other place, even if I killed him, I would be dead myself too. With my current power, I'm still far from facing Tao molding divine emperor." Small Ginseng and Shadowless were speechless. Yemo calmed his essence chi and came up to Taba Feiyang's body. The blood axe was gone, but the six glory soul-shaking light was still there. It looked like a fist-sized orb. However, there was some cracks on the orb. One can see just how terrifying the golden bow of divine extermination was. Yemo picked the orb up and put it in his golden page world. He didn't find a storage ring. Other than this, he found an extremely thin mask and a shiny black metal card. Yemo immediately thought of that disappearing golden estate. It seemed that belonged to Taba Feiyang, but he didn't keep that with him. It might be at the bottom of the lake, and his things would be in that divine estate. Thinking about this, Yemo picked up the mask and metal card. The mask was fine after being shot by the golden bow and arrow. It definitely wasn't something simple. Yemo casually put this mask on his face, and soon he was shocked. He found that he couldn't even feel he wore a mask. He thought of the Tao actualization divine emperor he offended. Yemo didn't take off the mask. He was thinking whether that divine emperor would be constantly watching him. He picked up the metal card, but found that with his immortal emperor peak stage spirit sense, he couldn't scan in. Yemo was very shocked. He released Blue like Morning Sky. Blue like Morning Sky was now a god flame and could even melt the top materials of the god Necropolis domain, but Blue like Morning Sky burned the card for 15 minutes, and the card didn't show any signs of melting. Instead, instant second in chi was growing stronger. Yemo put the metal card in a jade box and put it in his golden page world. He felt he might be able to use it in the future. After collecting his loot, Yemo didn't go inside the lake immediately. He had less than 10% of his power. He had to recover his power first. Otherwise, it would be dangerous if he encountered something else at the bottom of the lake. He let Shadowless and Small Ginseng go into the golden page world. Yemo went in too and controlled the golden page world to go back into the time whirlpools of the mountain. After a few months, Yemo came back to the lake. His god essence had recovered. Although his sea of consciousness hadn't completely recovered, it was just a matter of time. His snow-white hair turned gray. If it wasn't that his face was still young, he would seem like an old man now. Even though he killed the Tao molding divine emperor, Yemo felt this lake was still strange. There was an eerie chi and a ghost chi. Yemo didn't believe it was caused by Taba Feiyang killing too many immortal emperors. He wouldn't leave behind any of their chi. Yemo was very careful to enter the lake. 2 hours later, he finally came to the bottom of the lake. Yemo found that where the divine estate was before, there was nothing. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A, and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Yemo stood where he was in disappointment. The divine estate was called out by Taba Feiyang, but it was interrupted by his instant second god art and disappeared. Yemo stood where he was in disappointment. The divine estate was called out by Taba Feiyang, but it was interrupted by his instant second god art and disappeared. Because of this, Yemo thought the estate would be where it was before, but now it wasn't there. Without it, he wouldn't be able to get Taba Feiyang's belongings. Yemo took out that metal card again. He felt this card was related to the divine estate. Yemo's spirit sense scanned this metal card again, but it still couldn't scan in. Just when Yemo was going to put it away and search around, he felt the metal card grow colder in his hands. A black light flowed in the metal card, and at the same time, for subtle words showed in Yemo's consciousness in Abyss metal card. This card was called In Abyss metal card. Yemo just thought of this and saw a divine estate slowly appear out of thin air. The huge divine estate slowly cleared up to Yemo's surprise. In just 10 seconds, that huge door appeared again. So the divine estate is activated by the metal card. Yemo murmured. At this moment, the door had appeared, so Yemo went near it without hesitation. When he came to the side, he realized that there was no blood lake water around the divine estate. He didn't need to keep up a water barrier with God Essence. Yemo grabbed the card and carefully went into the estate. After going in, there was this yin chi surrounding him. Yemo was even more careful. His spirit sense scanned in the palace and found that the palace was very empty. There was nothing but a yin-yang fish painting. There were all sorts of paintings on the walls, and Yemo didn't understand a single one of them. No wonder those immortal emperors immediately wanted to come out after coming in this palace. This estate was empty. It was very obvious. They didn't need to waste time to search. Yemo walked to the yin-yang fish painting and found that it was slowly spinning. His spirit sense scanned in, but was pushed out by the fish. Such a strange pattern. Yemo soon saw a metal card picture next to the yin-yang fish painting. The picture of the metal card was exactly the same one as in his hand. Yemo compared them side by side. They were exactly the same. More strangely, the metal card stuck into the metal card image itself. It went deeper and deeper until eventually completely immersing into it. Then, it became a level surface with the painting. Yemo quickly grabbed the metal card, but no matter how much force he used, it was tightly sealed into the painting. Yemo didn't keep trying to get the card. He was a bit disappointed. This was no Tao Essence Divine Emperor, nor the place Taba Feiyang stored his things. Taba Feiyang's storage ring was probably completely destroyed by his golden bow and arrow. This was normal. He wasn't able to control the bow and arrow an instant second to a specific level. It was difficult to preserve the storage ring. Just when Yemo got up in disappointment, the yin-yang fish painting made a cracking sound. Then the two fish split apart. As they separated, a deep stairway appeared before Yemo. Yemo scanned his spirit sense in and found that his spirit sense couldn't even penetrate 1 meter. He could only see 3 stairs with his eyes. Yemo stared at this obscure stairway in shock. He didn't know where it led to, nor has he seen such an eerie place. There was nothing stopping him, but his spirit sense could only see 3 steps. After hesitating moments later, Yemo released Zissou and stepped on the first step. The stair seemed very hollow and could disappear at any time. The entire stairway seemed to be shaking as though it could fall into the void at any time. Yemo stopped. He wasn't just worried about the stairway disappearing, but also about the calling of souls and the extremely bleak chi coming from below the stairs. Yemo breathed slowly. He finally realized why there was a bleak chi. It was the calling of ghosts. It was all below the stairs. He wondered what thing could have such dense chi. He finally realized why Taba Feiyang didn't want to leave this place. He got the metal card somewhere and opened this divine estate. His cultivation method might need this ghost and bleak chi. As for the immortal emperors he brought here, it was probably not just for cultivation. In fact, Yemo guessed pretty much right. Taba Feiyang always cultivated here. The yin chi here was too heavy. He had to keep finding some extreme yang essence blood to mediate his essence spirit that was corroded by yin chi, otherwise he would become half human, half ghost. Yemo went down 2 more stairs. He felt the more he went down, the heavier the yin chi was. There was also hatred attached to it. Yemo felt it was difficult after going down less than 5 stairs. Before Yemo could adjust, a powerful bleak chi struck him. Even though he was a mortal emperor peak stage, he couldn't resist at all and was smashed back onto the divine estate hall. Crack! The yin-yang fish closed. The metal card flew out and landed in the middle of the hall. Yemo picked up the card and felt a little annoyed. He placed the metal card on his hand and said that Taba Feiyang could cultivate here. Perhaps he even controlled how to open the Mu Hua God Mountain. But I can't even leave here. After talking, Yemo found his metal card flash with dark light. It seemed like it was about to be activated at any time. Did it have teleporting capabilities? Yemo grabbed the metal card in joy and called, "Teleport out. Take me out of here." Out. out of Mu Hua God Mountain. Yemo tried all sorts of sayings, but the metal card just flowed with dark rays and nothing else. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2023, I shall vindicate Tao. Chapter 2023, I shall vindicate Tao after this. Yemo searched the divine estate for a few more days and didn't find any way out. He did find some formation flag marks left behind by Taba Feiyang. A few days later, Yemo could only return to the Golden Page world helplessly. Coming in again this time, Yemo was ready to vindicate Tao. He had never come in contact with Tao Vindication Divine Emperor Cultivation Method, nor knew anything about Tao Vindication. There was no predecessor experience he could borrow. He had no cultivation resources, nor anything to do now, so he could only seek Tao Vindication. Other people might not have a high-level world spirit item for Tao Vindication, but Yemo had plenty. He had the newly opened Chaos World as well as the Bitter Bamboo and Chaos Tree. Yemo looked at the Bitter Bamboo and Chaos Tree. He didn't hesitate and chose to be enlightened under the Chaos Tree. They were unique things in the world, but the Chaos Tree contained Tao Qi, while Bitter Bamboo only had Spirit Item Qi ever since the beginning. Yemo spent all his time either finding cultivation resources or cultivating after finding cultivation resources. He had never really had the time to sit down quietly and meditate. Now, he really had nothing to do, so he sat down below the Chaos Tree to learn his Tao. As soon Yemo sat down, he didn't need to calm down and was immersed in the vast Qi of the Chaos Tree. He seemed to have entered an endless scroll of existence. From the underworld to the mortal realm, then the cultivation realm, immortal realm, and then to the divine Tao realm. The clearly separated realms appeared in front of his eyes like a beautiful landscape scroll painting. He saw the clear divisions of the stars and the prosperity in the universe. But as time went on, the beautiful cosmos became obscure. Resources were depleted, and competition grew more intense. There was battle raging in the mortal realms. There was fighting everywhere in the cultivation realm and immortal realm. A qi of destruction emanated in the realms. At this moment, a small seed blossomed in the void and grew. The small seed grew into the chaos tree that stretched across many realms. The dense life force emitted from the tree went back to nourish the endless cosmos. The obscure and desolate realms returned to their original state and flourished more. But the tree that crossed many realms was eventually found. These powerful beings started to fight over this huge tree of life. Battles, carnage, destruction, wither, all sorts of qi filled the universe. The chaos tree with dense life force was attacked by all sorts of things and started to wither. Despite this, no one stopped the fight. Everyone wanted to own the chaos tree for themselves. Everyone wanted to be the ruler of the cosmos. Powerful beings were killed, sects were annihilated. Planets were spirit-controlled, heaven domains were crumbled. The highest sacred land in this universe, the divine Tao realm, finally cracked open from such terrifying battles. The beautiful landscape became devastated. Some powerful beings fled the divine Tao realm and went to foreign lands. When a few top powerful beings left, the remaining people didn't have the power to fight for the chaos tree. But at this moment, the big tree started to wither. Its essence turned into a drop of tear, and the tear transformed into a small seed. Without the nourishment of the tree, the void became pale. The abyssal realm was broken. There were souls calling everywhere. The cultivation realm was deprived of resources, and the immortal realm was crippled. In the Golden Page world, the chaos tree was blossoming green, and the dense green qi completely enveloped Yemo. I shall vindicate Tao. Yemo woke up from that scene and slowly spat these words. He was still feeling the vast Tao Qi under the chaos tree emotionlessly. The world fragmented, divine Tao broken, immortal realm crippled, laws incomplete. How to vindicate Tao? A voice sounded in Yemo's sea of consciousness. This voice cycled over again and again as though it would never stop. What confused Yimo was that this voice sounded a bit like his. Yimo's consciousness was long connected with the chaos tree now. He suddenly felt unjust. How come other people could vindicate Tao, but he couldn't? There were Tao vindicators in the god necropolis domain and immortal realm. There were even some Tao essence divine emperors. How come he was extra to Tao vindication? I shall vindicate Tao, Yimo said without hesitation and firmly. He didn't know the rules to Tao vindication. If he did, he would have long vindicated his Tao. The world is incomplete. Instant second Taos are small Taos. The voice seemed to know what Yimo thought and said. Was there a difference between Tao? Yimo didn't completely understand. Did he have to wait till the god necropolis domain was repaired to divine Tao realm before he could vindicate great Tao? Or wait till the immortal realm was repaired? He didn't have such capability now. Suddenly, Yimo gained this enlightenment. This was making him promise to repair the god necropolis domain and bring together the 33 heavens of the immortal realm. There was a subtle voice calling in his voice that if he was willing to promise to do all this, his Tao would come together, and he would be vindicating the highest Tao. When I vindicate Tao, I shall do my best to repair the god necropolis domain. When I vindicate Tao, I shall do my best to repair the divine Tao realm. When I vindicate, I shall do my best to close together the immortal realm. Yimo suddenly felt that if he said these words loudly, he would succeed in Tao vindication and vindicate the highest Tao. Yimo cultivated the three-birth chant and knew his heart very well. At this moment, there was this extreme discomfort rising from the bottom of his heart. He didn't like this feeling of being threatened. This was like making him promise to do things and then he could vindicate Tao. Whether or not he did those things was his choice. It was irrelevant to Tao vindication. In his past life and this life, he did things based on his heart, regardless if the threat was good or bad for him. He had this feeling from the depth of his heart that he didn't want to be forced. Even if he could never vindicate Tao in his life, he didn't want to be forced by this foreign will. Yimo suddenly stopped his meditation and opened his eyes as he got up and yelled, "The golden page world is mine. I planted the chaos tree. I shall vindicate my own Tao. I do everything on my own will. Nothing in the world, no one in the world shall control my Tao. If there's any foreign will, sever," Yimo said and sliced down with Zisu in the void. A gray light seeped out from the chaos tree and was sliced to pieces. Yimo took a long breath, and this feeling of comfort rose up. This feeling was indescribable. This was the feeling of freedom. At the same time, he felt the heavy and serious chaos tree become light and joyful. It was like an old man turned to a playful kid. The next moment, a green light fused into Yimo's dantian. Yimo shook and truly woke up. The world seemed to have become clear to him. Even the nearby space became very meticulous. He felt he found a way to improve his god art. Yimo knew he didn't vindicate Tao, but he became a half-divine. The power of law became clearer to him. Where is the chaos tree? Yimo immediately found that the chaos tree next to him disappeared. Before he could ask small ginseng and shadowless, there was this joyful emotion coming from his dantian. He soon a green tree happily waving in his dantian. "I understand," Yimo said. He severed the will planted in the chaos tree. With this, the chaos tree immediately recognized him as master. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Yimo knew that with his talent and learning, half-divine was the extreme. Even if he went into solitary cultivation for countless years, he would still be half-divine without new enlightenments. Yimo knew that with his talent and learning, half-divine was the extreme. Even if he went into solitary cultivation for countless years, he would still be half-divine without new enlightenments. He wanted to vindicate Tao, so he would have to leave the Golden Page world and go back to the greater world to experience things. Yimo wasn't sad. He was the master of the Chaos Tree now, and his power increased another level. If he wasn't blasted to a million pieces, he wouldn't die with the chaos tree in his dantian. When he came out of the Golden Page world and stood in the divine estate palace again, he knew that the only way out of the Muhua God Mountain was through this mysterious divine estate. Yemo didn't open that yin-yang fish tunnel again. He knew that even though with his increased tower, he wouldn't be able to pass that stairway. He would at most go down a few extra steps, and Yemo was certain that tunnel didn't lead outside. With the powerful resistance there, even Taba Fiyang wouldn't be able to go down. Yemo walked to the first painting of the palace. The painting looked like it was sculpted on there. The surface was uneven, but when Yemo subconsciously felt it with his hands, it felt extremely smooth and even. This first painting was very simple. A servant who was wearing a hat struggled to carry water. Yemo focused on it for a few minutes and suddenly felt that he was about to be embedded into the painting. He was shocked and subconsciously retreated. Rumble. A powerful force from the painting smashed him away. Yemo didn't dare to keep looking at the first one. He came to the second one. It was two people running. Yemo didn't scan his spirit sense in. He felt this wasn't the way out he was looking for. Third, fourth. When Yemo walked to the seventh painting, he stopped again. He felt this painting gave him the least pressure. It was very simple. It was of a grand sect. There were mountain ranges rising and descending. There was 4 great golden words before the sect, so you divine Tao. A gray-robed man stood before the sect and looked at these 4 words. There was only his back. His hands were behind his back, and his clothes seemed to wave with the wind. It was just a painting. There was no will nor essence spirit, but Yemo still felt the man's terrifying power. It was as though he could turn him to dust easily. This made Yemo extremely uncomfortable. Just when his eyes were going to leave this figure, another metal card image appeared next to the figure. The image was his abyss metal card. Yemo took it out without hesitation. He felt another dark ray flow out of the painting that connected with the dark ray from the metal card. An extremely powerful force came, and Yemo was surrounded by this dark ray. Not good. He was going to get dragged into the painting. Yemo used all his god essence to try to break free, but no matter what he did, he couldn't break free at all. The next moment, Yemo felt this light sweep him into a void tunnel. Yemo stopped struggling. He felt the tunnel didn't bring him into that painting, but really teleported him away. Rumble. Yemo landed on solid ground. He immediately protected himself with god essence and clutched Zisu tightly. Moments later, Yemo relaxed. There were ravines everywhere and broken walls. Half of that mountain range was sideways on the ground. Yemo looked at the metal card. There seemed to be this melancholic chi inside, but it soon disappeared. Even the light from the metal card disappeared. This metal card became icy cold again. This metal card wasn't simple. It seemed the first painting wasn't trying to suck him in, but teleport him to somewhere. Perhaps every painting in that palace could teleport him somewhere. Yemo put away the metal card and started to study his surrounding. He was certain he was teleported out of the Muhua God Mountain. At the same time, Yemo realized that he was standing at where the figure was standing in the painting. Yemo took in a cold breath. There were ravines that his spirit sense couldn't scan to the bottom, and they destroyed tens of thousands of km of mountain range. Just how much power was needed for this? Suyu Divine Tao was clearly a powerful ancient sect, but now it was destroyed to this level. A black figure suddenly charged out of the ravine. Yemo punched, and the figure made a sharp scream before dispersing. A black beast core fell on the ground. Yemo picked it up and immediately realized, I came back to the god Necropolis domain. He just killed a mist demon beast, but his power was now much stronger than when he first came to the god Necropolis domain. Yemo immediately left this destroyed sect. A few days later, Yemo's spirit sense found a marketplace. After making sure there was no top-level Tao Vindication powerful beings, Yemo came to this market. He wanted to ask how far this place was from the Muhua God Mountain. He also needed to find a way to other big cities and find ways people vindicated Tao. To Yemo, he didn't know what Tao Vindication was at all. In the god Necropolis domain, Many Dao vindicators vindicated small Dao, but that didn't affect Yemo from learning their experience. His three-birth chant could utilize other people's experience to walk out his own great Dao. Yemo entered and stopped an ordinary immortal monarch tertiary stage. He saluted with his fists and asked, "Dao friend, may I ask?" Before Yemo could finish, that immortal monarch tertiary stage's face changed and quickly said, "Qianbei. Wanbei don't know." Then he soon disappeared into the crowd. Yemo looked at this with confusion. What was going on? Just when Yemo wanted to ask someone else, he found that everyone avoided him, like the plague. Yemo soon realized. It was this mask. He got the mask from Taba Feiyang. It seemed he really did do a lot of bad things. But wait, when Taba Feiyang directed people to attack the divine estate, no one said anything to him. Taba Feiyang, a few powerful, dashing lights came. Yemo suspected one of them was divine emperor power. They sealed off his exit and released all sorts of magic artifact. Yemo cursed. He wore this mask to prevent that Dao actualization divine emperor from finding him, but this Taba Feiyang offended more people. No wonder he hid in the mountain. Yemo dashed away without hesitation. It wasn't that he was scared of these people. He just didn't want to have these meaningless fights. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 2025, The Extra Martial Sister. Chapter 2025, The Extra Martial Sister. Yemo didn't use instant transmission means. His 5-element mobility technique was far more powerful than before. He quickly charged out of the marketplace. This is really unlucky. Yemo was about to pull the mask off. An extremely subtle space wave made Yemo stop the action. He knew someone was coming and was immediately about to flee. "Martial brother Feiyang, it's really you," a voice of surprise and joy sounded. At the same time, a white-robed female immortal appeared before Yemo. She was actually half divine power. She had long eyebrows and snow-white skin. Her black hair was tied up. There was a yellow, immortal cloud silk wrapped around her chest, but it couldn't constrict the high peaks. The immortal skirt flowed in the wind. Accompanied with her looks, one had to be amazed by her beauty. Yemo thought, would this woman be Taba Feiyang's partner? Taba Feiyang looked like a ghost, and yet he had such a good-looking partner. "Martial brother, come back with me." The voice pleaded with a sad and soft tone. Clearly, she wasn't just ordinary relationship with Taba Feiyang. He couldn't go so casually now. Otherwise, if she was suspicious, it might be another power hunting after him. Seeing Yemo not talk, the woman could only continue. "Feiyang, Dao vindication isn't as easy as you think. Without the help of sect and family, neither of us can reach Dao vindication. Plus, it's extremely hard to vindicate Dao with your cultivation method. You've offended too many people trying to cultivate that cultivation method. You did too many things that go against the interest of the sect. Feiyang, I want you to wake up. I will definitely help you vindicate Dao. And I want to vindicate Dao with you." The emotions in her eyes were obvious. Yemo's brain thought rapidly. He suspected that the Taba Feiyang he killed wasn't her martial brother. It might be that martial brother Feiyang was killed by that Dao molding divine emperor, and that Dao molding divine emperor used the mask to change into Taba Feiyang's look and used this identity to do bad things everywhere. "I will vindicate Dao through my own capabilities." Yemo mimicked the Dao molding divine emperor's voice and said coldly. There was tears in the woman's eyes. "Feiyang, I know it's been hard for you all these years. You're so much older than before. When you left many years ago, you were half divine, and now you're still half divine." The woman seemed too sad and didn't continue talking about this and said, "Changfei Divine Dao City has a divine emperor Dao discussion square. There will be half a years of Dao discussion. After that, those who have enlightened can go to the border of God, Necropolis domain, to attain the fortune of great God art." Hearing this, Yemo almost called out, "God Necropolis domain? Was he not at God Necropolis domain?" If he was at God Necropolis domain, why would the woman say go to God Necropolis domain? However, Yimo was interested in that divine emperor, Tao discussion square. Yimo knew his talent. It was probably very hard to vindicate Tao just with his own experience. He didn't have to copy other people's path completely, but just know how they vindicated Tao. Seeing Yimo not answer, the woman continued before, the place you wanted to go the most was God Necropolis Domain. Now that you have a chance, and to listen to other people discussing Tao, why are you giving up? Did you forget what you said before? I've offended too many people, Yimo said heavily. Hearing this, the woman said in surprise and joy, "It's okay. I have a face mask magic artifact here. Just come back with me, and once we vindicate Tao, everything else will be insects." The woman took out a mask magic artifact and gave it to Yimo. Yimo took the mask and felt there was some danger, but he couldn't exactly tell what danger it was. "Martial sister, can you mark me a jade slip about the god Necropolis Domain?" Yimo hesitated and asked. The woman dazed, and then took out a jade slip and some things to Yimo. "I know about the same as you. I've added some things, have it." Yimo took it but didn't look at it. He said to this woman, "I want to be alone for a while. Wait for me at Chong Fei Divine Tao City. If I want to go, I will go there to find you. If not, don't feel bad. Don't keep waiting for me." Then Yimo used mobility technique and disappeared. He really wanted to go to the Tao discussion, but he wasn't that dumb to go with this woman. No matter how well he acted, if he got too close with this woman, he would be spotted out. Seeing Yimo leave alone, that joyful face sunk. She didn't chase Yimo, but stared at Yimo's direction for a long time, before saying coldly, "You killed my martial brother Fei Yang. Even if you escape to the edges of heaven, I, Shan Yao, will annihilate your soul." Yimo didn't know he was already spotted out, but he wasn't relying on her. He was just using her. 10 million km away, Yimo found a quiet place to enter the Golden Page world. Yimo immediately took out the jade slip she gave him. Yimo immediately noticed something wrong. There seemed to be a subtle spirit sense mark, but he searched the jade slip with spirit sense and found nothing. Yimo threw the jade slip away without hesitation. A spirit sense mark invisible to spirit sense, and the eye shot at him. If it wasn't that this world was his, he wouldn't be able to feel it. How could Yimo let this spirit sense mark fall on him? There was time-space law in the spirit sense mark. Yimo's domain and God essence couldn't stop this mark, not bind it. Instant second. Yimo used instant second in his shock. As soon as the spirit sense mark was frozen by instant second, he released blue like morning sky to burn it. So powerful, Yimo was covered in sweat. Yimo, using instant second in here, was many times stronger than outside. After all, this world was his. Once his cultivation level reached a powerful point, he can even stop the flow of time in the Golden Page world. Yimo's face was pale after using the instant second. Yimo took out that mask and burned with blue like morning sky. Since there was a mark in the jade slip, there was no way there wouldn't be a spirit sense mark in this face mask. Indeed, another spirit sense mark charged out of the mask and shot at Yimo. With his previous experience, Yimo used another instant second without hesitation and burned with blue like morning sky. This spirit sense mark was instantly vaporized. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2026, Chong Fei Divine Tao City. Chapter 2026, Chong Fei Divine Tao City. He used 2 instant seconds. Even though this Golden Page world was Yimo's world, Yimo almost couldn't handle it. Luckily, the chaos tree in his dantian quickly released life force. In just 15 minutes, Yimo completely recovered. Yimo breathed easy. Chaos tree made a huge difference. He checked over his body and made sure there was no problem before he grabbed the jade slip. He felt that these 2 marks were made by at least Tao Essence Divine Emperor. Probably even Taba, Fei Yang wouldn't be able to escape the mark. He was able to escape because he had the Golden Page world, instant second and God flame to burn the mark. 15 minutes later, Yemo put down the jade slip. He finally understood that the place he was at was indeed the god Necropolis domain, but it wasn't the real god Necropolis domain. It was just that the god Necropolis domain was in this region, so it was called the god Necropolis domain. Specifically speaking, this place was a broken domain of the divine Tao realm. But in the divine Tao realm, there was a true god Necropolis domain. That place had all sorts of Tao laws and qi. There are also primordial god arts and the dead remains of powerful beings. Compared to god Necropolis domain, Muhua God Mountain was just a place of time law. Meanwhile, the god Necropolis domain was filled with all sorts of laws and Tao qi. It's also the grounds of where a few primordial essence divine emperor died. It was because of this that many people would go to god Necropolis domain for Tao vindication. God Necropolis domain was too famous, so that the people here just named this broken realm after the god Necropolis domain. The Jade Slip said that many immortal emperors vindicated Tao at the god Necropolis domain. Some immortal emperors became wealthy there as they found the remains of primordial essence divine emperor and had the magic artifact of the primordial essence divine emperor. If they found the heritage of primordial essence divine emperor, it meant that had the path to the top of Tao. Yemo put the jade slip down and thought for a while before eventually deciding to go to Changfei Divine Tao City. Regardless if he could go to that Tao discussion, he would have to try. If he went, he would benefit plenty from there. Yemo also wanted to learn about how to vindicate Tao in the god Necropolis domain. In the god Necropolis domain, the big powers had their own circle. It was very hard to get into this circle and listen to their Tao discussion. However, it wasn't impossible. His gray hair couldn't turn into black hair yet. This was due to the damage on his essence qi. It couldn't be repaired by eating a pill. After his essence qi recovered, his hair would turn black. But Yemo didn't want to wait that long. That woman had seen him with the gray hair. Even if he took off the mask, she would recognize him. Yemo just shaved off all his hair and made a top-grade immortal artifact Buddhist bead and hung it on his chest. Thinking of Du Feng Monk, Yemo made another gourd and put it on his waist. The wine inside was made by small ginseng. After taking his mask off, he returned to his original look. The reason Yemo chose this look was because after talking to Du Feng Monk, he had some understanding of Nanming Heaven Zen Temple's cultivation method. Most importantly, he had a golden bell Buddhist fruit. If he took out this Tao fruit, no one would suspect his identity. In this broken divine Tao realm, it wasn't easy to find a top sect. The main reason was resources were scarce here, and it was the law of the jungle. Most people wanted to vindicate Tao and weren't willing to take out their resources. It was because of this that some God Corner families were more powerful than ordinary sections. Changfei Divine Tao City was an exception. Even the divine Tao realm was broken, it was still boundless. It was no surprise that such a prosperous city existed. Yemo walked in and felt a completely different atmosphere to the immortal realm. It felt depressing. It wasn't as comfortable as the immortal cities. There weren't many monks, but there were monks, so Yemo's look wasn't very unique. At this moment, Yemo suppressed his power to immortal emperor peak stage. He was planning to go into a bar and search for news. Just when Yemo walked in, he saw a figure dash out, and then there was a red light hacking at that figure. Yemo moved iced, and that figure fell to the ground. Seeing how that red light was going to hack the person on the ground in half, Yemo suddenly kicked. That red light was immediately crippled. The person on the ground got up and quickly saluted with his fists. "Thank you, Qianbei, for saving me." Yemo didn't answer and just looked at the person chasing out. This person was only an immortal monarch middle stage. Wanbei greet Qianbei. "Sorry for offending Qianbei." The immortal monarch saw that it was some monk whose power level he couldn't see through. He quickly bowed. This really was the law of the jungle. "You have no business here." Yemo waved his hand. He just casually saved that person, as in that instant, he thought of when he was kicked down by Feng Kong Grand Emperor. Seeing Yemo didn't blame him. The immortal monarch saluted with his fists and disappeared. Then, Yemo started to look at the guy he saved. He seemed very young, but was immortal king peak stage. He seemed very chubby, and his eyes were narrow. He seemed miserable, as though he was always bullied. But then Yimo noticed something different. He felt some ancient chi on this chubby boy. He felt such chi on Shadowless before. Boss, this guy has the same chi as me. Shadowless sound transmission from the Golden Page world. Same chi? Yimo immediately remembered that Shadowless came from the dragon race. Was this chubby kid a dragon too? However, he looked like a human. Coming with me? Yimo nodded and called the chubby boy in. The chubby boy followed Yimo into the bar. There were some people here. Yimo glanced casually and saw a few Immortal Emperor and even a Tao molding Divine Emperor. He immediately took back his spirit sense. He really didn't understand how there were so many powerful people here, and yet that little immortal monarch dared to kill someone here. No one said anything about him stopping the immortal monarch. Yimo realized no one would mind other people's business. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2027. Hard to enter Tao discussion square. Chapter 2027. Hard to enter Tao discussion square. Yimo wanted to find a room and ask about this chubby boy, but when he asked for a room, everyone stared at him with a strange look. Yimo immediately knew he said something wrong again. Qianbei, the bar is just a place to drink. There are no rooms. The chubby boy said. Oh, I see. Yimo said casually. Although Yimo was poor, he still had the god crystals to drink. He took the chubby boy to a corner and sat down. When the waiter brought the wine over, the chubby boy's eyes never left the wine kettle. So this chubby boy is a wine addict. Yimo opened the wine kettle and found this wine was really trash. The chubby boy gulped down some saliva. Qianbei, the wine of this bar is really good. It's medium high quality and half-god wine. Yimo almost spat the wine out. This sort of wine was called half-god wine. He pushed the wine kettle to the boy. I don't like this wine. You can have it all. Thank you, Qianbei, the chubby boy said and grabbed the kettle. Yimo took out the wine gourd from his waist and drank. Just when he wanted to ask, he heard a shocked voice say, "Good wine." Yimo dazed. No shit, it was good wine. His wine was made with corner soul weed and blue plum. After he found plenty of top god spirit herbs, he made small ginseng work the wine again. The person who said this just smelled it and knew it was good wine. Clearly, he was a wine lover too. Tao friend, may I sit here? A slightly coarse voice sounded in front of Yimo. It was that Tao molding Divine Emperor. Yimo's eyes spasmed. Although he killed a Tao molding Divine Emperor as an immortal emperor peak stage, he didn't cockily think he could take one out for sure. People could kill in here, and no one stopped the immortal monarch from killing the boy. People could kill here without being responsible. If this Tao molding Divine Emperor attacked him, and he shot out the 4 golden bow of divine extermination arrows, he would be a goat waiting to be slaughtered. Of course, Tao friend, have a seat. Yimo saluted with his fists. The chubby boy didn't care who came over as long as he had wine to drink. Tao friend indeed drank good wine. I've been through countless divine Tao societies in the god necropolis domain and countless god corners. It's the first time I've smelled such good wine. Where did you buy this wine? The Tao molding Divine Emperor asked. Yimo gave his kettle to the Tao molding Divine Emperor. I made it myself. If you like it, then have it. Thank you, Tao friend. The Tao molding Divine Emperor took the kettle and drank. Yimo was wary. This Tao molding Divine Emperor's god essence was dense and seemed stronger than Taba Feyang. His long hair was braided, and his chiseled face made him look extremely handsome. Thank you, Tao friend. This is a great wine. I'm called Duqishi. The Tao molding Divine Emperor clearly had different views of Yimo after drinking his name and told Yimo his name. Yimo realized. In the god necropolis domain, spirit items were rare and people wouldn't use it to make wine. The things he used to make his wine were all precious. Plus, the recipe was from the ancestor of making wine, Chuchen Divine Emperor. I'm called Yimo. Yimo saluted with his fists but didn't keep taking out wine. Du Qishi drank half a kettle and said, "Brother, ye seem to be here the first time?" Yemo quickly answered, "I haven't been able to vindicate Tao after reaching Immortal Emperor peak stage, so I've been searching around for opportunities. I heard there would be a Divine Emperor Tao discussion square here at Changfei Divine Tao City, so I came over wanted to hear the Tao discussion. There were no teleportation formations in the God Necropolis domain, as there were void fissures everywhere. Even flying with magic artifact could get you devoured by the void fissure, much less teleportation formation. It's probably not going to be easy to get there." Du Qishi put the wine kettle down and looked at Yemo. "Brother Du, you're probably already Tao molding Divine Emperor, right? Isn't the Tao discussion square Tao molding Divine Emperor discussing DOA and then Immortal Emperors listen?" Yemo asked in confusion. Du Qishi smiled bitterly. "It's held by all the big powers joined together. There's not only Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor, but also Tao Actualization Divine Emperor discussing Tao. There will even be the number 1 Tao Essence Divine Emperor of Chang, Fei Divine Tao City, Sikong Shan, coming to discuss Tao personally. He had been stuck in Tao Essence Divine Emperor for countless years. After he discusses Tao this time, he would head to the God Necropolis domain to find opportunity to break through to Primordial Essence Divine Emperor. Before he goes there, he would take some Immortal Emperor with him. Who wouldn't want such opportunity? Does one have to be taken by Tao Essence Divine Emperor to go God Necropolis domain?" Yemo asked in shock. Du Qishi rolled his eyes at Yemo. "Brother Yi, I can tell you know nothing about Tao vindication. Of those who can vindicate Tao, 90% of them did so at the border of the God Necropolis domain. You can't go to the border without Tao molding Divine Emperor power. Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor and Tao Actualization Divine Emperor can only go to the border of the God Necropolis domain alone. They can't bring someone there. Only Tao Essence Divine Emperor can bring someone there. Tao Essence Divine Emperor can bring 10 people there. This Sikong Qianbei is quite a nice person." Yemo sighed. Du Qishi glanced at Yemo and said, "Those Tao Essence Qianbei who went in the God Necropolis domain never came out. Sikong Qianbei is gambling one last time by entering the God Necropolis domain to vindicate Primordial Essence Tao. He's not taking the 10 people for no reason. He needs top leave Tao fruit and God's spirit item. He will see who has greater contributions and then take them in." Yemo nodded. This meant that an outsider like him has no chance even if he went to the Tao discussion square. "Brother, may I ask if you know about the Mu Hua God Mountain?" Yemo asked. "I've heard about it. It said it recently opened once. It's too far from the Chang, Fei, Divine Tao City. It takes decades to just get there. Otherwise, I would go to the mountain once." Du Qishi sighed. Hearing this, Yemo's mind was set. The further away it was from Chang Fei, Divine Tao City, the better it was for Yemo. "It seems Brother Du is here for the Tao discussion?" Yemo asked. "That's right, but I have no chance to unless I have a top spirit item or a Tao fruit. But if I do, I wouldn't want to use a Tao fruit to get a spot to listen to Tao." Du Qishi said. Yemo was planning to risk things and act as Taba Feiyong, but hearing this he immediately said, "Brother Du, you're saying you can definitely go to the Tao discussion square if you have Tao fruit. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters." Chapter 2028. Take away Chubby Kid. Chapter 2028. Take away Chubby Kid, of course. Do you think it's that easy to get Tao fruits? I heard 9-time Tao fruits came out of the Mu Hua Mountain this time. What a pity, Du Qishi sighed. Yemo finally realized why Taba Feiyong could vindicate Tao this quickly. That guy was in the Mu Hua God Mountain. As soon as it opened, he would be able to go out and scavenge Tao fruits first. This guy definitely had a lot of good things in his storage ring, but what a pity it was destroyed. Yemo felt Du Qishi was a nice person, so he sound transmissioned, "Brother Du, I have a Tao fruit. Just say you're a friend of mine and see if you can go in with it." "What? Duchishi said in shock that he even forgot to sound transmission. Yemo could only say, I want to try my luck and see if I can get into the Divine Emperor Dao discussion square. Du Qixi reacted and immediately got up. Of course, let's go now. He couldn't wait anymore. Don't be in a rush. I still have some important things to ask this little brother. Yemo saw that the chubby kid had finished the kettle and asked Duchishi. Duchishi seemed to know Yemo had business with the chubby kid, so he got up and smiled. I'll wait for you at my spot. Just let me know when you're ready. What is your name? Where do you come from? Yemo set up sound barrier restriction and asked. The chubby kid looked dazedly at Yemo, and there was a sliver of fear in his eyes. Yemo felt this and smiled. Don't worry. Although I guessed your origin a bit, but I just want to get it clear. You should know that if someone else guessed your origin like me, you probably would have been killed already. Aye. The chubby kid was clearly more and more scared. He feared this the most. He knew clearly what the consequence would be if people recognized who he was. After a long while, the chubby kid finally calmed down a bit and stuttered, I'm called Xiaorang. When my mother gave birth to me, she told Uncle Ian to sneak me away. Then Uncle Ian used rune, and we came to God Necropolis domain. Then Uncle Ian died protecting me. Yemo finally understood. This chubby kid was called Xiaorang. He probably came from dragon race. His mother was a young girl waiting to be married. She seemed to live in a huge water palace. Yemo guessed that was the dragon palace. However, the rules there were very strict. His mother was pregnant before marriage, and this was a huge violation of law. Xiaorang was a target of hunting. Xiaorang's mother let her personal assistant Uncle Ian take Xiaorang and flee. Uncle Ian came to the god Necropolis domain somehow, but then later people realized there was a subtle dragon horn on the chubby kid's head and wanted to take him away. Uncle Ian died with that person trying to protect Xiaorang. Xiaorang had no survival capabilities and could only starve. However, this guy loved drinking so much that he would forget his own name. He was beaten because of it countless times. He seemed quite lucky to be alive, though, after all these dangerous times. Yemo scanned his spirit sense into the chubby kid's hair and found a dragon horn popping out. Yemo knew that he definitely did something that was no good to himself. The chubby kid had been in the city for this long and loved drinking that much. He should have long been killed, but he still survived now. The only explanation was that someone knew the chubby kid was a dragon and was secretly protecting him. Xiaorang had no family here, so of course they weren't protecting him for his benefit. This way, there would only be two motives. One was to use the chubby kid to draw other dragon race here, and the second was to just keep the chubby kid as livestock. Yemo believed the second possibility was greater. Dragon essence blood had dragon chi. It wouldn't form if you locked him up. If that person wanted to use the chubby kid's dragon chi to cultivate, he can't lock the chubby kid. Yemo was speechless. He was wondering why things were so coincidental that he saved the chubby kid. Even if he didn't intervene, someone would. Yemo wanted Xiaorang to go, but he was only half divine. Even in the immortal realm, there were people stronger than him, much less Chang Fei, Divine Dao City. The person who dared to keep Xiaorang was no simple character. At this moment, Shadowless suddenly made the sound, boss. This chubby kid is so pitiful, and he's dragon race. Why don't you let him stay in the golden page world with us? Yemo hesitated. If the chubby kid went into the golden page world, he could never go away. Otherwise, his golden page world would be exposed. Shadowless's words resonated with him. He was abandoned too. Shadowless and the chubby kid had a similar fate to him. If he didn't intervene, this chubby kid would be dead for sure and in a terrible way. Thinking about this, Yemo sound transmission to Shadowless. I'll ask him. If he's willing, then I'll take him away. If not, we can't mind too much business. Seeing the chubby kid's fearful look, Yemo sighed. Xiaorang, do you know that if you keep staying here, you would die sooner or later? Unexpectedly, the chubby kid nodded quickly. Yemo shook his head. You don't know your situation. Someone already knows you're a dragon race, but he didn't capture you because he wants to you grow up here alone. He's keeping you as a livestock. Think about it. Every time you're in danger, does someone help you? Or when you need cultivation resources, does it just magically come into your hands? The chubby kid heard this in daze, but soon reacted. He stared at Yemo in shock, soon realizing what he meant. It seems you're not too dumb. Let me be honest with you. You were saved before because people were protecting you. Otherwise, you're a little immortal king, and you go around stealing wine. How can you live for so long here? But me saving you this time is a real coincidence. Seeing the chubby kid get scared, Yemo continued, I have a friend who is also dragon race. He wants me to help you. If you're willing, then I'll take you away, but if you're not willing, I'll give you a kettle of wine, and you can leave yourself. If you're willing to come with me, there's a condition. You must not go out. Even if you leave in the future, you must swear to not spill my seasits. Qianbei, Wanbei is willing. The chubby kid agreed without hesitation. Yemo was confused. The chubby kid wasn't dumb. Wasn't he scared of him tricking him? You're not scared of me tricking you? Yemo immediately asked. Qianbei, you're definitely not from the Dao City. You come from a faraway place. Otherwise, you wouldn't be asking for a room here. Even if I don't leave with Qianbei, I will probably die here. If I leave with Qianbei, I might be able to see my mum again. If Qianbei wants my blood, I'll just be dying earlier. I've already known this over the years. The chubby kid said firmly, Not bad. You're very smart, but don't worry, I won't take your blood. The things I have are countless times better than your little impure dragon blood. Relax, and I'll take you in. Yemo laughed. You quite like this kid now. Now, the chubby kid subconsciously looked at everyone in the bar. Yemo said yes now. He had decided to take the chubby kid away. Even if he went somewhere else, people would know, so he might as well take him away publicly. No matter how strong the guy who wanted the chubby kid was, he wouldn't dare to go to the Dao discussion square. He would go there now. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2029, Terror of the Tao Essence, Divine Emperor. Chapter 2029, Terror of the Tao Essence, Divine Emperor. He still had another condition for going to the Tao discussion square, and that was for that Sikong Shan to take him to the god Necropolis domain. Otherwise, he would be wasting that divine Tao fruit. When he went to the god Necropolis domain, who would be able to find him? The chubby kid was strictly speaking not human, he was a dragon. Even if Yemo's golden page world wasn't complete, he could put him inside, much less now. His golden page world was completed. There were quite a lot of people in the bar, and they were shocked to see Yemo take the chubby kid away. People here weren't dumb. The chubby kid didn't have a simple origin. Yet Yemo was an immortal emperor and dared to take him away. He didn't want to live. Other people were wondering how Yemo had the guts to take him away, not how Yemo took the kid away. Most immortal emperors had their small world or cultivation home magic artifact. You didn't do this well. That chubby kid is nice, but you're not the only one interested in him, Du Qishi said. Hearing this, Yemo realized Du Qishi knew that chubby kid was a dragon, but Yemo wasn't scared. He sound transmissioned, can we enter the Dao discussion square with Dao fruit? Of course, but do you think everyone can get Dao fruit? Although you haven't taken it out, I know you wouldn't lie to me. Good, I have Dao fruit. We can both go in and then ask Sikong Qianbei to take us to the god Necropolis domain border. Who will be able to find me there? I'm worried about you. You came with me. If those people can't find me, they might blame it on you. Yemo said plainly. If Du Qishi didn't dare to go with him, he would go alone. Du Qishi said pridefully, although I'm in solo cultivator, I'm not scared of anyone. Du Qishi wasn't bluffing. He didn't dare to offend big powers, but they wouldn't offend him for no reason either. They clearly knew that Yemo took the chubby kid. They wouldn't be dumb enough to still offend him. A Tao molding divine emperor. Good. Unless those people dares to come for me now. Otherwise, I wouldn't be scared. Yemo laughed. Even if he couldn't go to god Necropolis domain this time, he was confident in his transmission means. Du Qishi said calmly, don't worry. Even if they want trouble with you, it would be after you leave the city. This is the Dao discussion square. Yemo and Du Qishi came to a barren outback. The view ahead was blurry. Clearly it was barricaded by restriction. Yimo thought the Tao discussion would be in a grand palace, but there was no signs of buildings at all here. Du Qishi nodded. Tao is immature. Of course you can't discuss Tao inside. Only outside would you feel a sliver of the Tao they discuss. Good knowledge. Another DMBD came up to Du Qishi and saluted with his fists. Then the Tao molding divine emperor said, but the Tao discussion is about to start here. Please move aside, Tao friends. Yimo immediately came up and said, we came to listen in. Sorry, not everyone can come, move aside. The divine emperor wasn't so polite to an immortal emperor peak stage. Yimo wasn't angry and instead said with a smile, Brother Du and I both want to enter the Tao discussion square. I also want to ask Sikong Qian Bei to give me a spot to the god Necropolis domain. That divine emperor was so angry he laughed. A mere immortal emperor dared to say this. Who did he think he was? The 10 spots were already decided. How could other people intervene? I have a Tao fruit, and I want to give this to Sikong divine emperor Qianbei. Yimo said loudly. They discussed this together. If they really dared to take the Tao fruit and sign up alone, they would not only lose the Tao fruit but their lives too. Yimo and Du Qishi didn't come from some big power. If the organizers of this Tao discussion took their Tao fruits, even Sikong Shan might not know. So they came to the agreement to take out the Tao fruit outside the Tao discussion square and say it loudly. Only then would the organizers be concerned. As soon as Yimo said this, that Tao molding divine emperor's face changed. He immediately said, you really have Tao fruit? What Tao fruit is it? Show me. Yimo said in contempt, what Tao fruit I have is nothing to do with you. This is for Sikong Qianbei. In time, I'll just give it to Sikong Qianbei. The Tao molding divine emperor calmed down and said plainly, even if you have Tao fruit, we need to check it before we let you go in. If you don't even know what your Tao fruit is, how are we going to report to Sikong Qianbei? I have a Tao fruit, so of course I'm giving it to Sikong Qianbei. If Sikong Qianbei isn't here, I will wait for a while. After all, the Tao fruit is too precious. I don't trust giving it to you. Yimo said loudly. The Tao molding divine emperor said plainly, in that case leave. We don't welcome liars here. There was faint killing intent on the Tao molding divine emperor, and Yimo could feel it. He was certain that as soon as they leave, there would be someone to stop them. Since they don't want Tao fruit, I'm going. Brother Du, didn't you say that Sikong Qianbei was collecting Tao fruits? I finally found one, and now they said they don't want it. Yimo's voice was not only loud, but also carried some god essence. The Tao molding divine emperor was furious, but before he could continue, a plain voice sounded, who said I didn't want Tao fruit. Sikong Qianbei. The Tao molding divine emperor quickly bowed. A gray-robed skinny man appeared before the three, and moments later, 2 more people came. Yimo's eyes spasmed. Although he knew Sikong Shan would probably notice if he said Tao fruit loudly, but when Sikong Shan came up to him, he realized how terrifying he was. His spirit sense has been watching the surrounding, but despite this, he didn't notice at all when Sikong Shan came before them. He didn't even notice the 2 people behind Sikong Shan. One could see how pitiful his power was to a Tao essence divine emperor. That Tao molding divine emperor bowed and didn't even dare to stand up. He couldn't even control the sweat going down his back. This wasn't just fear, but a powerful Tao rune pressure. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. That skinny man ignored the scared Tao molding divine emperor and just stared at Yimo seriously and asked, I'm Sikong Shan. You called me over because you have a Tao fruit? That skinny man ignored the scared Tao molding divine emperor and just stared at Yimo seriously and asked, I'm Sikong Shan. You called me over because you have a Tao fruit? Yimo knew his schemes couldn't trick this person, so he said, Yimo greet Qianbei. Wanbei said that loudly, because Wanbei knows that only if I deliver the Tao fruit to Qianbei personally would I get a chance to enter the Tao discussion grounds. Yimo didn't say that if he didn't hand it to Sikong Shan personally, the Dao fruit probably would be robbed away, but he was hinting to this. Seeing Yimo didn't argue, Sikong Shan nodded, "Take out your Dao fruit." He knew what Yimo meant and knew it was the truth, but he was about to go vindicate primordial essence due, so he wasn't going to hassle with these families over this. Yimo immediately took out the jade box containing golden belled Buddhist fruit to Sikong Shan. Sikong Shan didn't promise anything, but Yimo had to take it out. Even if Sikong Shan took the Dao fruit and didn't want to do anything, Yimo would have to suck it up. Sikong Shan opened the jade box and immediately shut it. There was extreme surprise and joy on his face. He didn't expect he had such huge fortune. Yimo gave him golden bell Buddhist fruit. This was one of the top Dao fruits. Only an outsider like Yimo would think that if you didn't cultivate Buddhist God art, you didn't need this Dao fruit. The fruit was extremely useful to anyone. It not only had Buddhist Dao power, but also a sliver of Buddhist source power. Any Dao fruit that had source power was the highest level of Dao fruit. Great, Sikong Shan said, and put away the jade box. He was extremely happy. Even if he got nothing out of this Dao discussion, just this Buddhist Dao fruit would be enough. You cultivate Buddhist Dao, and yet can take out this Dao fruit. You're rather genuine. Sikong Shan didn't doubt Yimo's appearance. His spirit sense checked Yimo's storage ring. Yimo knew that if he took out Dao fruit, people might check his storage ring, so he changed the restriction to an ordinary one. Otherwise, Sikong Shan might not be able to check it. After checking Yimo's storage ring, Sikong Shan was even happier. Although there were good things inside, this Buddhist fruit was the most precious. He didn't suspect Yimo would have a second fruit, as each tree only had one fruit. It seems you desperately want to vindicate Dao. I'll take this Dao fruit. Tell me what you want. Sikong Shan smiled. Yimo rejoiced and quickly bowed. Wanbei and friend Du Qishi want to listen to Qianbei's Dao discussion, and also hope that Qianbei would take Wanbei to God Necropolis domain border. Sikong Shan nodded. These two requests aren't too bad. I agree. Go inside. After the Dao discussion, I will add you to the list and take you to the God Necropolis domain border. Thank you, Qianbei. Yimo rejoiced and thanked. Sikong Shan nodded slightly and disappeared. Yimo knew the Dao discussion hadn't started, but he could go in now. He looked at that Dao molding divine emperor and said, "Open the restriction. I'm going in with my friend." The Dao molding divine emperor's face was green, but he had to do this and let them in. Idiot. That Dao molding divine emperor cursed. Only an idiot would take out a Dao fruit just to enter the Dao discussion square. Wait. A crisp voice called out behind Yimo. Yimo's heart sunk. He could tell this voice was Taba Fei Yang's martial sister. He looked at the half-divine woman and asked, "Immortal goddess, were you talking to me?" The woman's face changed and reproached, "I'm not from Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect. Be careful of your words, monk." Yimo cursed. He just said that out of a respect, but he didn't realize that Immortal Goddess had to be from that specific sect. Du Qishi quickly sound transmission to Yimo. "You must not call those not from Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect Immortal Goddess. Just call them Goddess. She is Shan Du Goddess State Young Mistress Shan Yao. She's not easy to mess with." Yimo immediately realized and saluted with his fists. What business does Goddess have with monk? Shan Yao's face eased and stared at Yimo, asking coldly, "I've never seen you in the city before. Did you just come here?" Yimo was shocked. The woman must have realized he was different. Luckily, he didn't keep using Taba Fei Yang's disguise or he would have been dead. She probably recognized the fake Taba Fei Yang already. "Yes, I'm indeed from somewhere else. Brother Du told me that there was a divine emperor Dao discussion here and told me to come. I hurried and luckily came on time." Yimo said. Shan Yao glanced at Du Qishi. She knew him, but didn't expect this monk was his friend. "There are limited spots to go in. How did you get in?" Shan Yao asked. "He got a Dao fruit, and Sikong Qianbei came here. The Dao molding divine emperor guard wanted to suck up to Shan Yao and explained." "Dao fruit?" Shan Yao looked at Yimo in shock and said, "You're quite lucky." She felt Yimo had this familiar chi, but she couldn't tell what it was. Her cultivation method and talent was unique, and could easily discern qi. That's why she stopped Yemo. Luckily, Yemo acted as a monk. She couldn't think of when she had seen a monk, no matter how hard she thought. In an extremely ancient palace, a yellow, bearded man was furious. He just got news that the little dragon he kept in the city was taken away. This person who took him away had a Dao fruit and gave it to Sikong Shan. He even got the promise to be taken to God, Necropolis domain border. Lord, we definitely have nothing we can do now that the person is entering the Dao discussion square. But since he's going to the God, Necropolis domain border, our Zhu Dragon God Tower has someone going there too. The city Lord Zhongsuan, Xin Huai's son, and Qi Xiao, God Corner's Master Hong Haoyin, would all be going. If we contact them and give them some benefit, that Yemo would never be able to escape. A woman beside the man said calmly. The yellow-bearded man nodded. Okay, we'll do this. There's one day before the Dao discussion starts. Go contact these people first. Shanning Yao stayed here to wait for the person acting as Taba Feiyang. But she knew there was a very small chance that guy came. After entering the Dao discussion area, Yemo realized this place was no different to any wilderness. There were already tens of people sitting on cushions. Yemo and Du Qishi found a distant place to stay, and then Yemo asked Brother Du, "Is that Shanning Yao not Simples?" Du Qishi nodded. That's right. She comes from Shan Du God Estate. There's a Dao actualization powerful being there. She's really loved in the estate, and no one dares to mess with him. If I'm not wrong, she will definitely get a chance to go to God Necropolis domain border. So you need to be careful not to offend her. Chapter 2031, Immortal Goddess, Sacred Sect. Chapter 2031, Immortal Goddess, Sacred Sect. Even if Du Qishi didn't tell him, Yemo wouldn't go offend Shanning Yao. Plus, he pitied her. Brother Du, what is the Immortal Goddess, Sacred Sect she spoke of? She seemed very scared of that sect? Yemo asked. Du Qishi said seriously, even Dao Essence Divine Emperor don't dare to challenge Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect in the God Necropolis domain. In the God Necropolis domain, only Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect people can be called Immortal Goddess. They're this dominant? Yemo asked in surprise. No, they're not dominant. The reason the women from Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect are called this way is not due to their own accord, but people respect the Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect. You must not go into the Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect range, otherwise that is suicide. Du Qishi said. Why? Yemo didn't understand God Necropolis domain at all and could only ask. Du Qishi explained God Necropolis domain is the original divine Dao realm. Due to battles between ancient powerful beings, the realm itself crumbled. Eventually, the divine Dao realm was about to be pulverized, and those powerful beings fled the broken divine Dao realm. However, the saint of Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect Qing didn't flee. She used the utmost high god art and turned herself into the law of the divine Dao realm. That stopped the crumbling of divine Dao realm, and now it became the god Necropolis domain. In order to pay tribute to her sacrifice, the Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect members are respected as Immortal Goddess. They rarely come out, though. With the divine Dao realm so broken, sects stronger than the Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect have disappeared, but they remain intact. Seeing Yemo's shock, Du Qishi smiled. Those sect members of Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect are all extremely beautiful. The more you cultivate their cultivation method, the prettier you become. So everyone wants an Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect member as Dao partner. True. Yemo nodded. Everyone loved beauty, even immortals. Du Qishi smiled. Brother Yi, I need to remind you that the Immortal Goddess Sacred Sect members never dual cultivate with people and rarely even speak to outsiders. The hardest thing in the God Necropolis domain isn't finding a Dao fruit, but getting an Immortal Goddess as Dao partner. But if you think that way, you're not far from death. You understand? I understand. Yemo wasn't dumb. He had to be respectful to Immortal Goddess. Whether it was the immortal realm or the cultivation realm, he had seen too many beautiful women. He had even lived with someone like Zhan Bingyu. His wives were all extremely beautiful. He wouldn't be surprised no matter how pretty the woman was. No matter how pretty the immortal goddess was, she would at most be Qing Ru's level. Brother Diyu, I have one more thing to ask you. Do you know a sect called Suyu Divine Tao? Yemo asked. Suyu Divine Tao? Du Qishi repeated in confusion, and then shook his head. I've never heard of such sect, but the god Necropolis domain is boundless and despite being broken. It's not something a Tao molding divine emperor like me can travel across. Yemo didn't ask anymore. The sect wasn't far from this city. Since Du Qishi didn't know, this meant that the sect was extremely ancient. Yemo started asking about all sorts of stories of the god Necropolis domain. He also learned the terror of god Necropolis domain border. Even Tao molding divine emperor might be crushed by the Tao runes there. There was a Tao wave line at the border. Those weaker people would be diced. Since ancient times, countless immortal emperors and half-divines died at the god Necropolis domain border. Countless divine emperors never came back after entering that Tao wave line. About tens of thousands of km from Yemo's place, two women were desperately looking around. One wore blue robes while the other wore yellow robes. They were both extremely beautiful. Sister Bue, how come we're not at the same place with Master after using that transmission rune? Is this the god Necropolis domain? Why does everything seem so barren? The yellow-robed woman asked. Xiaoyan, it's probably due to the space being unstable here that some problem occurred. We held on to each other, so we're not separated, but Master is probably very far away from us. Sister Bus said. Zhenzhong Divine Emperor didn't know the space here was this unstable. When he brought his two disciples here, he immediately saw someone stronger than him come. In his desperation, he immediately used his only space transmission rune. It was a battle lute of his. After using it, Zhenzhong Divine Emperor immediately realized he did something stupid. The space here was extremely unstable. It was suicide to use such rune here. When he grabbed at his two disciples, they were already very far from him. The two girls were lucky that they didn't fall in a void crevice and instead survived here. Without their master to take care of them, both of them were worried. They didn't even dare to talk and just hurried, wanting to leave this barren place. A day later, two dashing lights landed before Luo Bue and Mu Xiaoyan. They finally saw people. Luo Bue and Mu Xiaoyan rejoiced, but were also nervous. They heard Master say that the people at God Necropolis Domain were very scary. But soon, they were shocked. It was two women before them. They were too pretty. Where did you two come from? How did you come here? The taller woman glanced at the two and frowned. My martial sister and I followed our master here, but we got separated and lost. Luo Bue quickly said. The taller woman stared at Mu Xiaoyan for a while and suddenly frowned and released a blue long sword. The shorter woman quickly stopped her and said, Martial sister and I, don't attack first. Since they appeared next to our sect, it means they have fate with us. Why don't we hold them back first? Luo Bue and Mu Xiaoyan were dazed. They didn't even do anything, and that taller woman wanted to kill them. Was the god Necropolis Domain this unreasonable? And Hai sneered, this woman has lost her virginity and dares to come to our sect? It's an insult to us. What's the point in no killing such shameless person? Luo Bue was dazed. What reason to kill was this? Mu Xiaoyan's character was soft and yet strong. Hearing this, she was furious. Yemo was her husband. So what if she gave her virginity to her husband? There was such crazy woman in this world. Luo Bue had been with Mu Xiaoyan for a long time and knew her well. She quickly pulled her, signaling her not to talk. The woman was still going to attack. Luo Bue was ready to fight. She knew the two of them combined was no match for this woman, but she wasn't going to sit and wait. Wait, another dashing light came. Martial Uncle Qilan. The two women quickly bowed. Luo Bue and Mu Xiaoyan stared at this woman with even more shock. What sect was this? One was prettier than the other. You two probably came from the immortal realm? The woman's tone was much softer. Luo Bue and Mu Xiaoyan were dazed. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2032. Tao discussion begins. Chapter 2032. Tao discussion begins. You don't need to say anything. I already know. How about this? Come with me to the divine sect first. Otherwise, even if you leave here, you wouldn't be able to get to the nearest God corner of divine Tao City. The woman's tone was very nice. Wan Bei is willing to follow Qian Bei to the sect. Luo Bus saw that Mu Xiaoyan wanted to talk and quickly said before her. She was afraid Mu Xiaoyan would reject. When they came to the outside of the sect, Mu Xiaoyan and Luo Bue were completely dazed. All they had seen on the way was the devastated landed, but now what was before them was lush green, immortal mountain and God water. It was like heaven and hell. They weren't just dazed at the scene. The small heaven domain they lived at was extremely beautiful too. They were dazed at the extremely dense God spirit chi they almost didn't need to cultivate and could feel their progress. This is such a good place. Luo Bus sighed. Immortal goddess, sacred sect. Mu Xiaoyan saw the 4 words before the sect and felt worried. She felt this wasn't a place she should come, but she couldn't resist at all. Martial sister Qilan, why did you bring a woman whose chi is impure? They just walked into a palace and heard a displeased voice. The woman who brought them in quickly asked martial sister Yinhuai. These two are called Mu Xiaoyan and Luo Bue. They came from the immortal realm. Although Xiaoyan is only abstruse immortal cultivation leave, she has extremely pure immortal wood spirit root. Martial sister Qilan, you want to take someone who has lost her virginity into the sect? Yinhuai said coldly. Mu Xiaoyan was extremely uncomfortable. She never said she wanted to join here, and these people brought her here and reproached her. She gave virginity to her husband. What did it have to do with this immortal goddess sacred sect? Yinhuai, everything is fate. Since Qilan wants to take her as disciple, it's fate and fortune. Plus, there are such precedents in our sect. Qilan, take your 2 new disciples and leave. No need to see me. Remember, don't do this again. Another voice sounded. There was surprise and joy in Qilan's eyes, and she bowed. Thank you, sect leader. Qilan understands. 15 minutes later, Qilan took the 2 and came to a distant mountain peak. She took them to a hall and said, I believe you don't really understand the immortal goddess sacred sect, but that's fine. Just remember that our sect is the #1 sect in the divine Tao realm. I'm called Lan Qilan. I will be your master. Qian Bei, martial sister Bue, and I already have master. Mu Xiaoyan felt this Qilan Qian Bei were much better than the other women. Lan Qilan smiled. I know that, but it's fine. After you understand this place, you will know what I mean. Mu Xiaoyan didn't speak this time. She could tell Lan Qilan had good intentions towards them. If it wasn't for her, they would have probably been killed already. Master, Bue and Xiaoyan are willing to join Master's sect. Luo Bue said. It was common occurrence to have a few masters in the immortal realm. She was confused why this place became divine Tao realm, but not God Necropolis domain, but she didn't dare to ask. Hearing this, Mu Xiaoyan kneeled down too. Mu Xiaoyan greet Master. Thank you for saving my life, Master. Lan Qilan nodded and sighed. You can cultivate at my Lani Peak. Try not to leave here. Yes, Master. The 2 responded. They had nowhere to go anyways. Seeing this, Lan Qilan smiled. Do you know why I took you guys in as disciples? Luo Bue looked at Lan Qilan. Didn't she say that Xiaoyan was extremely pure immortal with spirit root? Lan Qilan said, immortal goddess sacred sect is a saint heritage. They don't like non-virgins. My martial sister was locked in the prison door mountain and tortured to death due to losing her virginity. My mother brought me here, and before I even saw my master, she was killed by people of the sect. The reason is the same as Xiaoyan, because she wasn't a virgin. Lan Qilan's eyes went dim. My master saved me in time and took me back to the sect. But due to me, the immortal goddess sacred sect split apart. My master was very powerful, and in order to save me, she calmed this disaster all by herself. However, due to this internal conflict, my master was weakened and soon went into reincarnation. Before she left, she handed me over to my martial uncle ancestor, who is the current sect leader. Mu Xiaoyan was ashamed. She realized that her master was saving her. But this immortal goddess' sacred sect heritage was too absurd. How could there be heritage if women didn't get pregnant? Without heritage, what was the immortal goddess' sacred sect? No need to think much. Just stay here and cultivate. With Xiaoyan and Bu's talent, you guys will have the chance to vindicate Dao. Lan Qilan comforted. Yes, master. Mu Xiaoyan quickly answered. Her master didn't ask them about the immortal realm, clearly not wanting to know about these things. Mu Xiaoyan knew she had to bring her power up quickly, or she would never be able to see her husband. Yimo and Du Qishi chatted happily and learned a lot of things here. Brother Du, monkey, may I sit here? Shan Yingyao interrupted their conversation with her crisp voice. Of course, please have a seat, Du Qishi quickly said. He could tell Shan Yingyao was interested in Yimo. He didn't understand why such a beautiful woman would be interested in a monk, but he didn't want to offend her. Shan Yingyao sat down and smiled. Just call me Yingyao. My cultivation level is much weaker than Brother Du. He wasn't worried Shan Yingyao could recognize him, as the 2 spirit sense marks weren't something ordinary people could remove. Now that he had 0 spirit sense marks on him, how could she recognize him? Monkey, may I ask which branch of the Buddhist sect you're from? Shan Yingyao spoke politely to Yimo. Yimo said calmly, Goddess Yingyao, no need to call me monk, just call my name. I'm just a cultivator that's finding my own path. I don't dare to say which branch I belong to. At most a small branch of Buddhism. Just when she wanted to talk, she heard a clear voice. The Divine Emperor Dao discussion begins now. I now invite Dao Essence Divine Emperor Sikong Qianbei to discuss Dao for us. The skinny Sikong Shan suddenly appeared in the air. He sat in mid-air and said calmly, this Dao discussion was originally going to go for half a year, and I would discuss the world Great Dao meaning in the last month. However, due to some special reasons, I have to go in God Necropolis domain quickly, so I will be discussing my Dao vindication experience in the first month. After this month, I will be heading to the God Necropolis domain to seek primordial essence. Yimo knew that the fruit he gave Sikong Shan wasn't simple, and it was probably why he changed his mind. Yimo didn't mind. The quicker they went to God Necropolis domain, the better it was for them. The place was silent. Everyone held their breath, getting ready to listen to a Dao Essence Divine Emperor's understanding of Dao. Such opportunity was once in a lifetime. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.